the Almighty Pokémon Master. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 251 successfully made. Soon, Zhang finished the lecture. After answering the questions, Zhang Xingyun looked at his notes thoughtfully, and his eyes lit up as he caught the key point. Haha, I understand. I can try it tomorrow. It's really different if someone guides me. After figuring it out, Zhang Xingyun laughed. Now he has enough confidence to make advanced energy blocks. After walking out of the study and drinking a cup of warm water, he imported the knowledge he gained today into the system. Now it's okay, and there's no need to exchange the system with high energy values. Hey boo. Haha, I have a clue. If nothing goes wrong tomorrow, I should be able to make the advanced energy block Yuanling. I believe that with this energy block, your strength will also improve faster. Hua Madam Huaji also shouted when she heard it, and then she cleaned up the living room. Madam Huaji is not as small as Hua Yeti now, and she is quite skillful in doing housework. Madam Huaji also likes to cook delicious food. Zhang Xingyun knew this when she was still Hua Yeti, always watching him cook. After Madam Huaji evolved, Zhang Xingyun also taught it how to make delicious food. With the help of Madam Huaji, it will be easier to make food now. Young Jirus ran to Zhang Xingyun and said a few words, which basically meant that it felt the evolution and asked him what to do. Young Jirus, you are going to evolve too. This is very good. You should accumulate more energy, and the resources needed for evolution will also be prepared for you. Young Ji, okay. In a blink of an eye, it was time for young Jirus to evolve. Zhang Xingyun opened the system and checked the treasures. He spent tens of thousands of energy points to exchange a set of treasures for young Jirus for evolution. The best living environment for young Jirus is a desert, but Changning is in the southern part of China, and there is no desert nearby. Wait. A flash of inspiration flashed through Zhang Xingyun's mind, and then he took out his mobile phone and clicked on the chat record with Nangan Yeo. He remembered that there seemed to be a sandstorm area. Zhang Xingyun didn't know how big it was, but from the picture, it should be quite large. Now he wanted to verify something, so he sent a message to Nangan Yeo. Is my desk mat there? I have a question for you. What is it? Nangan Yeo replied instantly. She was probably playing with her phone. Where is the sandstorm in this picture? Can we go there in a few days? Why are you asking this? Why do we need to go there? Is your young Kirus going to evolve? Hahaha, Nangan, you are really smart. Yes, my young Kirus is about to evolve, so I was thinking about whether I could go to that sandstorm. If I can evolve there, it will be of certain benefit to young Kirus. Yeah, what you said makes sense. The information I got about the sandstorm was that it was created by two Bangulus. It is really good for your young Kirus. This place is in Shenzhen. Nangan Yeo replied, and then said, aren't you familiar with Inspector Ling? You can ask him, it should be possible. Oh, okay, I see. After finishing the chat, Zhang Xingyun looked at the time and prepared to contact Ling Feng again tomorrow. If possible, he could take the young Kirus there to evolve. After a little tidying up, he returned to the bedroom, sat cross-legged on the bed, and began to practice. There was no conversation all night, and soon it was early in the morning. When it was dawn, Zhang Xingyun opened his eyes and a gleam of light flashed. After exercising, as usual, he washed and trained in the morning. After returning from the morning training, Madam Huaji prepared breakfast and ate breakfast. Madam Huaji did not go to the morning training, so it became a logistics nanny. Not to mention, Madam Huaji still has a talent for cooking, and the breakfast she made is quite delicious. Now, Zhang Xingyun can spare more time to train the elves. At 8 o'clock in the morning, Zhang Xingyun called Ling Feng, and Ling Feng soon picked up the phone. After Zhang Xingyun stated his purpose, he asked Ling Feng if he could go there to evolve. After thinking for a while, Ling Feng replied that it was okay, but it would be dangerous, because there were still a few fish that slipped through the net and had not been arrested. On the phone, Ling Feng also told Zhang Xingyun to pay attention to safety. After hanging up the phone, Zhang Xingyun thought about it and decided to go. Since he was a fish that slipped through the net, he should not dare to go back there. Although it is a little dangerous, it can still be done. Zhang Xingyun's plan is to let the young Kyrus polish some energy today and then go to the sandstorm land tomorrow. Today, try to make energy blocks, two-pronged approach. At 9 o'clock in the morning, Zhang Xingyun came to the Cultivator Association and walked into the reserved machine room. He was carrying a giant mantis with him, and the young Kyrus stayed in the club for training. Zhang Xingyun cleaned the machine very skillfully and then started the machine. Bus, the machine equipment started making a roar. When it was almost time, put in the materials, one by one, and after looking at their appearance, pour in the spiritual water. Zzzz. It was exactly as Zhu Mingting said last night. It's true that the sun seed should be put in together with the zero residue fruit. Zhang Xingyun thought to himself. This was also a knowledge point he gained last night, a professional knowledge point that is easy to overlook. Zhang Xingyun only noticed it after Zhu Mingting pointed it out. Zzzz. The materials in the machine sizzled. Zhang Xingyun used his supernatural power to remove the impurities and then stirred them up to allow the materials inside to fully contact and fuse. Every time he tumbled, he removed the impurities. Soon, the materials in the machine became crystal clear. But, success, success. Zhang Xingyun shouted happily. He successfully made the advanced energy block Yuanling. Now, the young Kyrus can enjoy the advanced energy blocks and grow faster. Hassan hahaha, I succeeded. Now you all have advanced energy blocks to eat. Come on, giant mantis, try this energy block. Hassan, how does it feel? Is the energy rich? Hassan, I knew I succeeded, haha. Chapter 252, Evolution of Young Kyrus. It took more than an hour to finally successfully make the energy cube. After cleaning up, he continued to make it while he still had the feel for it. All of a sudden, he worked until 3 o'clock in the afternoon. When his stomach growled, Zhang Xingyun came to his senses and picked up his phone to see that it was already 3 o'clock in the afternoon. He forgot to eat at noon and was now hungry, but his spirits were very good. After the successful production, he continued to make it 4 more times. He failed once and succeeded 3 times. He also accumulated a lot of experience and synchronized the data into the system. It can be said that he gained a lot. Zhang Xingyun sat in the resting place, took out the food from the space, and ate it. Looking at the boxes of energy cubes on the table, he felt very happy. After eating and cleaning up, he went to check out the machine room, and those freshly baked energy cubes came to the training room, where the young Kyrus were training. Everyone, I have good news for you. I successfully made the energy cube today. He took out the energy cube and gave it to the elves to taste. After eating it, Madame Huaji and the others were very satisfied. It seemed that the production was quite successful. He took out a lot of mineral treasures and placed them in front of young Kyrus. After young Kyrus ate all the things Zhang Xingyun gave him, he walked to the sandpit and lay down. Young Kyrus, get up first. I'll apply some good stuff on you. This is very good for your evolution. Young Kyrus stood up with a layer of dark brown stuff on his body. As soon as it was applied, waves of energy penetrated into young Kyrus' body. Young Kyrus cried out comfortably, feeling much lighter, and a gentle energy flowing in his body, which was very comfortable. The next day, Zhang Xingyun took the high-speed train to Shenzhen City. After several twists and turns, he arrived at his destination, a place called Jutang in the Bishan district of Shenzhen City. As soon as he stepped onto the yellow sand, Zhang Xingyun keenly felt the energy that young Kyrus needed from the sand, but it was still not very strong, so he headed in the direction he sensed. As expected of a champion, he can actually change the terrain. Looking at this sandstorm, Zhang Xingyun cited the champion's strength. At present, this is the most suitable place for young Kyrus to evolve. Perhaps he can also feel the energy fluctuations here. After all, it was left by the champion Pokémon, and it was also left by Bangira, who is of the same clan as young Kyrus. Young Kyrus ran out of the Pokéball and stepped on the sand, looking very lively. Let's evolve young Kyrus here. If you feel it more, you may get something else. Young Julius Pokémon such as undertaking and claws came out of the Pokeball and became alert. This scene was also seen by the remaining personnel here from the surveillance. This is the trainer reported by Inspector Ling. A leader-like person said, "Yes, this young man is called Zhang Xingyun. He is the newcomer champion of Changning this year. He is also a person with special abilities. He is currently studying at Changning No. 9 Middle School." A younger staff member next to him slowly explained Zhang Xingyun's situation, like he knew everything about him. "It's good that he is one of us. Let him go." Zhang Xingyun also knew that there was a very secret camera nearby monitoring him. He could tell it with a mental scan. The person with the camera should be someone from the government. He is one of us. With his current status, he would not be embarrassed. Besides, the safety would be higher. If he ran into the remaining members of Team Rocket, they would surely take action. As for the evolution process, it was not something shameful. It didn't matter if he was seen. The main thing was resources. Besides, Zhang Xingyun had prepared many details in Changning City. "Young Kyrus, we are starting to evolve." Young Kyrus, he gave some potions to young Kyrus to swallow. After seeing young Kyrus's performance, he took out some external items to use. Young Julius howled, and the light of evolution shone on his body. Zhang Xingyun also took out a grey-brown stone-like object the size of a human head from the space, shattered it, turned it into powder, and used his ability to pull it around young Julius. This grey-brown stone is called Earth Spirit Stone, which is very precious. It has many benefits for rock-type or ground-type Pokémon. Young Julius's cry became more cheerful, probably because he was nourished by this Earth Spirit Stone. This trainer is too rich. Such a large Earth Spirit Stone must cost more than 10 million, and he just gave it to young Julius. A young staff member on the screen side. In his opinion, this was too extravagant. "Hey, Zhao Yang, if you look at his status and the elves he has cultivated, you won't think so. 10 million may not be much for him who has so many honors. If he goes hunting, it will only take half a month, after deducting the expenses." The leader-like man next to him explained that they were in the system, and he could earn about 600 million a year with his strength as aqua seeking. If he went hunting alone, he would probably earn more, but it was dangerous in the wild. The system was still quite good. Except for a few dangerous missions, the rest of the time was very comfortable and there was no danger. The income was high, the job was decent, and there was a little power in his hands. That's right. Well, different paths will lead to different results. Yeah. On Zhang Xingyun's side, the young Kyrus had evolved successfully and was now called Shakiris. Shakiris looked like a pupa, and its body was covered with a grey-blue hard shell. The eyeballs of both eyes were red, and it saw things through 2 holes in the shell. There were 2 more triangular holes above the eye holes. The upper body is covered with a mask-like shell, with 4 sharp corners on both sides and 3 small corners on the forehead. Inside its shell, a new body is gradually taking shape. Shakiris's cry has become more mature, and the evolved body is also full of strength. "You have evolved into Shakiris, so I have to get a lot of ores for you to eat next." The evolved Shakiris is not as light as the young Shakiris, and looks a bit heavy and clumsy. Shakiris, you have to adapt to your evolved body well, so that you can exert the greatest power. With a rustling sound, the mental power detected an uninvited guest, a rock crab hiding under the sand not far from them. It's just right. Shakiris is alive, an ordinary late-stage rock crab, just as powerful as you after evolution. You can practice with it. Chapter 253 Shakiris. Go to Shakiris, try your tricks. This crab is not simple. Zhang Xingyun said meaningfully, and after collecting Nidoking and the others into the Pokeball, he disappeared from the spot with a teleport. The sandstorm was even more powerful than the one when he was a young Kyrus, and then his body shook against the ground, and a ground-type energy blasted towards the direction of the crab. When I watched the anime, the cry of the crab captured by Xiantang seemed to be this sound. The creature that jumped out from the ground with a huge, rectangular rock on its back, and some yellow stripes on the rock was the crab. The whirring sandstorm enveloped the crab, but for it, being in the sandstorm, before Shakiris exerted his strength, it was not hurt. As the sandstorm flew, the dust on the ground was also wriggling, preventing the rock temple crab from escaping from underground. This place was originally a sandstorm area, and Shakiris was more adept at activating it, covering the area of 100 meters around. Shaki a dozen sharp sand spears condensed from sand were thrown at the rock temple crab. Bang bang, the attacks were blocked by the rock temple crab, and a rock cannon was condensed in an instant and smashed over. Literally the friction sound of the rock cannon and the sand at this time was a bit harsh. With a bang, it hit a soil wall rising in front of Shakiris. The soil wall was only damaged, but not completely broken. The rock temple crab's eyes condensed, and then a red light broke out of its shell, and a small figure ran towards Shakiris at an extremely fast speed. This is the rock temple crab shell breaking move. Shaki a bull made of sand wrapped Shakiris inside, while keeping rotating. Swish, after pausing for a moment on the surface of the sand ball, it entered inside and attacked Shakiris. Shaki, the sound of Shakiris's mask succeeded, and then it used more strength and the rotation speed increased. The rock temple crab inside the sand ball screamed, trapped inside. Whoosh, whoosh, the high-speed rotating sand ball was thrown into the sky, and then with a bang, the sand ball fell hard on the solid ground, and scattered all over the ground. In the sand, there was a scarred figure, which was the rock temple crab. Shakiris sprayed out a stream of air, jumped up, and flew up. There was also a faint light on the surface of the body. It was obvious that it was very strong, and it smashed towards the rock temple crab. Shakiris can fly by ejecting compressed gas in its body. With a bang, the rock temple crab was blown away. It just landed on its shell, and had lost its ability to fight. The sandstorm slowly subsided. Looking at his masterpiece, Shakiris was very satisfied. Very good. The skills are very skillful. There is no sense of awkwardness. This is very good. Shaki then, Zhang Xingyun came to a secret place, and took out a small square-like object from under the sand. The quality of this object is really good, and it was not damaged in the battle just now. Hello, comrades inside. I saw a miniature camera on the body of this rock temple crab. This should be very useful. It should be useful to you. After the object in his hand vibrated a few times, a message came. Wait a minute, we will come over. After Zhang Xingyun put the object in a secret place, he looked at the information after Shakiris evolution. Name, Shakiris, male. Attributes, rock, ground characteristics, shedding qualification, light blue strength, ordinary late stage skills, staring, sandstorm, noise, rockfall, ghost face, making a big rage, evil wave, spike attack, earthquake, outrage, shadow clone, rock blockade. After investing so many resources, the qualification was only upgraded to light blue. Zhang Xingyun thought he could upgrade it to dark blue in one go. The higher the qualification, the more difficult it is to upgrade. Belly Kami Squirtle and Baby Dragon came up and chatted with Shakiris. The two little ones looked at the evolved Shakiris and couldn't recognize it. If Shakiris' attitude hadn't been the same as before, the two little ones really wouldn't have recognized it. Baby Dragon asked it how it felt after evolving, and Shakiris replied that it was very good. Kami Squirtle asked if it felt good to stay in the shell, and whether it felt like it was in the tortoise shell. Hello, classmate Zhang Xingyun. Hello, you guys too. The two staff members who were monitoring the area arrived and started talking to Zhang Xingyun. After Zhang Xingyun's statement, the two also found a miniature camera on the rock temple crab with an R printed on it. The rock temple crab might have come to inquire about the situation, but it was caught when it ran into Zhang Xingyun. Thank you very much for your discovery, classmate Zhang. We still have things to do. Please do as you please. Okay. The two took the rock temple crab and left here, and Zhang Xingyun then left after a simple training of Shakiris for a while. Damn, it was destroyed by this kid. Now, those people will pay more attention to it. Let's not take the things inside. It's better to leave here as soon as possible. A rough-looking man said to a woman with a better face next to him. The woman nodded, and then the two left here together. The two of them were the fish that slipped through the net. They were also inconspicuous in the base. They happened to be away from the base that day and escaped. Wanting to take a risk, he let the crab sneak in, but he didn't expect to run into Zhang Xingyun. Originally, the crab sneaked in, and it was not very conspicuous. It was just an ordinary Pokémon. What a pity. On the other side, Zhang Xingyun, after packing up his things, sat on the back of Pidgeot and rushed in one direction. The follow-up here has little to do with him. He alone is not enough to fight against Team Rocket. Let the relevant departments handle this. Pidgeot quickly arrived in the city, landed, put it in the Pokeball, and walked in. After Pidgeot evolved, the traffic situation became much more convenient. Since you are in Shenzhen, you can play here for a while and feel the unique city atmosphere here. Taking the subway, Zhang Xingyun wandered around the city of Shenzhen. Chapter 254 Kinmen Pedestrian Street. The streets are crowded with cars and people. As night approaches, the neon lights shine on the tall buildings, which are as colorful as if they were covered with jewel-studded clothes, announcing the beginning of nightlife. The night in Shenzhen is more lively than the day, which is also the appearance of some first-tier cities. Even today in the era of elves, it has not changed. It is worthy of being an old first-tier city. The advent of elves has made it even more prosperous. Zhang Xingyun, who was walking on the street, sighed. Walking and walking, we came to a pedestrian street in Shenzhen, Jinmen Pedestrian Street. Influenced by many aspects, trainers are allowed to set up stalls and trade on this street, and of course there are storefronts here. After many trainers go out hunting, they will bring the harvest they get here to trade. If they can't sell it, they will resell it to nearby stores at a lower price. From the street to the end, there are some choices of 3 kilometers away, so there are a lot of elf resources here, and it has also attracted many trainers to come here to shop. Take a look. This egg I got from an old dragon. It is definitely a dragon type elf egg with extraordinary potential. Not 299W. Not 199W. Now it's on sale. Only 99W. Only 99W. Take the dragon elf home. The best dragon fruit. It brings beauty to your dragon elf. Don't miss it. If you pass by, pretty girl, come and have a look. It's a elf egg with cyan qualifications. Here is the master's comment to prove it. Absolutely honest and true. The 3 royal families. This is the elf egg obtained by the son of the brother of the son-in-law of the cousin of my eldest aunt's nephew. For some reason, I have to sell it here. Only 30E. Only 30W. The stall owners were all shouting hard, and the elves next to them were also echoing. Zhang Xingyun walked over, and didn't know how many times he was called handsome, all asking him to look at the treasures they were selling. Zhang Xingyun didn't even have the heart to watch the excitement. Once he released his mental power, he could roughly determine it. If he couldn't determine it, there was still the system. Zhang Xingyun was not bragging. He could tell whether 99% of the things here were real or not. Like the dragon Pokémon egg mentioned by a stall owner just now, he scanned it with his mental power, and it was just a green caterpillar. How to say this? It depends on your vision. If you have a good vision, you can still make a fortune. The public security here is also okay. From time to time, a working security guard in uniform walked by. Zhang Xingyun remembered his first mission, which was to be the security guard. But compared with the security guards here, there must be a big gap. Along the way, the security guards I met were all ordinary level trainers, and there were so many people here, so the situation was more complicated. With the government's deterrence, there were no big problems, but there were many small ones. Zhang Xingyun walked and looked at the stalls around him. Suddenly, his eyes lit up, and he walked in front of a female stall owner. How much are these 3 ores? The female stall owner was a woman with an ordinary appearance and a tall stature. She was accompanied by an ordinary late-stage Abilang. I think you know the approximate price of these 3 ores. I'll sell them to you for 200,000 each. How about that? The 3 ores that Zhang Xingyun pointed to were the size of basketballs. There were some marks on the stone that looked like flame patterns. These were fire-hard stones. They existed in volcanoes and contained rich energy and minerals. They could also be eaten by Shakiras and added with other substances. They were also beneficial for some powerful moves. Okay. Zhang Xingyun paid the bill readily and bought the 3 fire-hard stones. After receiving them, Shakiras's Pokeball on his belt shook. Shakiras sensed the existence of the 3 fire-hard stones and knew that swallowing them would be beneficial. They are all yours. Nidoking and the others won't snatch them from you. Eat them later. It's a pity that there are not many. If there were more, it would be great. With Zhang Xingyun's current strength, there is no way to collect the fire heart stone in the volcano, but there are very few for sale. Today, he is lucky to have come across these 3. Zhang Xingyun couldn't help but think that if Shakira swallowed a lot of these fire heart stones after evolving into Bangerous, the moves he performed would be very rich in fire energy. After buying them, he continued to shop. Not to mention that he found a lot of good things, but it was not a bargain. It can only be said that it was much cheaper. After shopping for an hour, he bought 10 good things. Those that caught Zhang Xingyun's eye were definitely not common goods. They were all things that were difficult to buy on the market and of high quality. He also came across many elves, some of which were indeed signed qualifications, but considering various reasons, Zhang Xingyun still did not buy them. But Zhang Xingyun saw an elf that rarely touched him. A dying little fire dragon. This little Charmander was listless. For some unknown reason, there were many scars on his body. He huddled in a corner, staring at the passers-by with dull eyes. The flame on his tail was also very small. But it was also a starter Pokémon, and many people stopped to ask about this little Charmander. But after knowing the reason, they all became quiet and had no intention of buying it. Several young trainers went forward to observe carefully, but were called away by their elders, who thought it was not worth it for this half-crippled little Charmander. When the little Charmander saw someone approaching it, it immediately cheered up and greeted him in a very friendly way. Unfortunately, it was disappointed again. They all disliked it. Time and time again, the little Charmander was numb. Zhang Xingyun squatted in front of it, and it just looked up and lowered its head. This person would look at it with disdain and say a few unpleasant words. As a fire-type little Charmander, it couldn't even use fire-type moves. It was really useless. "Charmander, are you willing to come with me?" Zhang Xingyun's gentle voice sounded in Charmander's ears. Woo woo woo. Charmander raised his head and looked at Zhang Xingyun. Zhang Xingyun released a warm energy from his ability, which wrapped Charmander in and moisturized its body. Looking at Zhang Xingyun's sincere eyes and feeling his sincere emotions from his ability, Charmander suddenly felt something called hope in his heart. Woo woo woo. Some uncertain words came out of Charmander's mouth. It meant that it couldn't use fire-type moves. Zhang Xingyun could see that Charmander was still willing, but was a little hesitant because of some other reasons. Chapter 255. Subdue Charmander. "Charmander, I'm sure I can cure you and make you stronger. Are you willing?" Gentle and kind words rang in Charmander's ears. Seeing Zhang Xingyun's sincere look, Charmander hesitated. "Woo woo, really? I'm really sure I can make you normal, let you participate in training like other Pokémon, go on adventures in the wild with trainers, and stand in front of the stage to release your unique style. Are you willing?" Woo woo. A few tears splashed out of Charmander's eyes. He became a little excited and stood up tremblingly, but looked at Zhang Xingyun through the railing. "Good boy, I'll go and discuss with the stall owner and I'll be back soon." "Woo woo, don't worry, I won't leave. Come out, Madam Huaji, you stay here with Charmander, I'll go for a while." Zhang Xingyun released Madam Huaji and asked her to accompany Charmander for a while. He went to discuss the purchase with the stall owner, who, looking at the poor Charmander in the cage, Madam Huaji communicated with Charmander very gently. She also released healing energy to help Charmander heal. "Uncle, what do you think of this Charmander? I like it and want to buy it. What do you think?" The stall owner was a middle-aged man with a simple and honest face. After thinking for a while, he said to Zhang Xingyun, "This trainer, tell me the truth. This Charmander can't use fire-type moves. Are you sure you want it? And this Charmander was originally a Pokémon of a certain young master, but I don't know why it became like this. Are you sure you still want it?" After listening to this, Zhang Xingyun remembered the appearance of Charmander huddled in the cage and said very affirmatively, "Yes, I want it." "Okay, I'll sell it to you for 300,000. "Okay, I'll transfer the money." The stall owner was also a reasonable person and sympathized with Charmander, but he was a businessman and could only do so. After taking the Pokéball handed over by the uncle, Zhang Xingyun left here. He didn't continue to shop and went straight back to the hotel. As soon as he returned to the hotel, he released Charmander from the Pokéball. "Woo woo, hello, we are partners from now on. Woo Charmander rushed towards Zhang Xingyun, his body trembling a little. Okay, I will heal you now. Woo Mrs. Huaji, come out and heal Charmander. A warm energy enveloped Charmander, and Zhang Xingyun also helped. He took out the warm spring and washed Charmander's body. Charmander's body was still dirty, but after washing, it was much cleaner. Charmander has 4 small visible teeth above and below its mouth, and its belly and the bottom of its tail are cream colored. Its most notable feature is that the tip of its tail has a burning flame when it is born. Some people say that if the flame goes out, the Pokémon will die, although this has never happened in animation, comics, or games. But the flame on the tail of the Charmander in front of him is very small, and its size is also very small. At first glance, it looks underdeveloped. Woo after Squirtle and Baby Dragon came out one after another, Charmander was a little scared, but slowly calmed down after Zhang Xingyun's greeting. Belly Kami, the 2 little ones looked at the skinny Charmander in front of them and felt very sympathetic to it. Just now in the Pokeball, they also knew what happened to Charmander and felt even more sympathetic to it. After preparing Charmander mentally, Mantis and Shakiras came out of the Pokeball one after another. They all greeted Charmander in a friendly manner. Charmander was still a little scared and uncomfortable and stayed in Zhang Xingyun's arms, but still waved his claws at Mantis and the others as a response. I believe that after a while, Charmander will integrate into this group. Hey, Charmander, this is your food, you eat it first. Woo Charmander ate the Pokémon food with a snort, and Zhang Xingyun took out Moo milk and let Charmander drink it to prevent it from choking. Eat slowly, no one will snatch it from you. After comforting it for a while, he asked Electabuzz to take out the Pokémon food and give it to everyone. This is tonight's dinner. Zhang Xingyun also ate some delicacies while shopping, so he wouldn't be very hungry. Squirtle and the others also had food, but this human food was not very filling for the Pokémon, and it didn't have much energy, so it was digested in a short time, and it was just for the taste. Looking at the eating Charmander, Zhang Xingyun looked at its information. Name, Charmander, female, attribute, fire characteristics, power of the sun, abnormal, qualification, light blue strength, late novice skills, howl, impact, stare, grab system analyze the reason. System prompt, the Charmander contains a water energy, which conflicts with its own fire energy, resulting in the inability to use fire skills, and the decline of body functions. If it cannot be balanced, its life will be in danger. Drops, after testing, the body of the little dragon mainly contains residual sea crystals, ice dust liquid, and mixed spirit wood, as well as. The improvement plan is as follows. It is recommended to use fire flowers and flame magma. There is a certain probability of getting a mutated little dragon. It seems that the cold energy in the body exceeds the fire energy. It has become like this under the conflict. Things like sea crystals are not cheap. So what happened to the little dragon? Experimental product. It seems that the little dragon is also a spirit with a story. After reading the system's analysis, Zhang Xingyun also roughly knew the situation of the little dragon. The system's analysis also mentioned that there is a certain probability of getting a mutated little dragon. This is very interesting. Zhang Xingyun wondered if it would be like Ailan in the previous life animation, who had a water storing fire dragon? Zhang Xingyun also saw that the little dragon was really pitiful. It shouldn't be like this with its qualifications, so he subdued it. Of course, there are also reasons for the system analysis. Woo after the little dragon finished eating, he saw Zhang Xingyun looking at it and waved his claws a little silly. Charmander, are you full? If not, eat some more. Woo Charmander scratched his belly a little embarrassedly. It seems that he was not full. Kami Belly Dragonite and Squirtle took some of the food in their hands and pushed it to Charmander, very friendly indicating that Charmander should eat them. Woo Charmander also understood what the 2 little ones meant and indicated that it was not necessary. Come and eat more, Dragonite and Squirtle, just you 2 can eat it. I have more here. You 2 are the smaller ones in the team, so you 2 will take care of Charmander from now on. Belly Kami the 2 little ones promised to take care of them. Charmander, you also have to get along well with Squirtle and the others. I will be their partner from now on. Woo Chapter 256 Initial Recovery. On the second day, Zhang Xingyun took the high-speed train back to Changning City and arrived in Changning at 11 o'clock in the morning. After getting off the train, Zhang Xingyun came to Boss Li's store. Haha, I haven't seen you for a while. Where did you go to make a fortune? When he walked into the store, Boss Li, who was counting the bills, saw Zhang Xingyun and laughed and joked. During this period, Zhang Xingyun was still quite busy. He didn't go hunting in the wild, so he didn't come to Boss Li to buy supplies. I didn't make a fortune. I was just learning to make some energy blocks. The chance of meeting a famous teacher is almost the same. That's right, many skills are always good. Come and sit down. Boss Li greeted, sat on the guest sofa with Zhang Xingyun, and made a pot of hot tea. I came here today to buy a batch of things, such as dragon blood glue. The quality must be good. This is what I want. Take a look. After speaking, Zhang Xingyun handed a list to Boss Li for him to see. Haha, since it's what you want, you don't have to worry about the quality. I have everything on your list. Wait a minute. Then Boss Li called an employee and asked him to sort out the items on the list, and then he started chatting with Zhang Xingyun. Boss Li knew where the good things were, what was new in the nearby cities, and so on. As expected of a businessman, he was well informed. Boss, you've sorted it out. The employee shouted. Okay, I got it, brother. Go and check the goods. Okay. After Zhang Xingyun checked it once, he found no problem, so he paid the bill and left. Boss Li also gave a lot of discounts, which saved him some money. Most of the things Zhang Xingyun bought were for Charmander. Although the system can also be exchanged, after comparing, he still felt that it was cost effective to buy in the store. Besides, the simple elf coins cannot be converted into energy value. He drove a motorcycle back home. Along the way, he also met several groups of people, rushing to the wild in groups. Winter vacation is here, and these young trainees are also on vacation. They made an appointment to go to the wild for the adventure activities that teenagers like. Maybe some people will retreat, and some people will adapt. We are back home. Come out. The Pokeballs on the belts were all opened, and the giant claws mantis appeared at home. By the way, I made a lunch and started eating. After resting for a while, I treated Charmander. Woo woo. After the treatment, Charmander looked much better. Its condition was initially stabilized, but it still needed multiple treatments to recover to a healthy level. Woo woo. Charmander shouted at Zhang Xingyun. Charmander, you are not suitable for high intensity training now. How about this? You run a few laps in this training ground first to exercise your body first. I will tell you when you can train. Woo woo. Charmander nodded meekly and ran on the training ground. You should pay more attention to Charmander. Nido hey boo. Charmander, run slower. Pay attention to your breathing. Pay attention to your rhythm. Woo woo. The physique of the elves is still relatively strong. After this night, Charmander can now run without any problem. In the next few days, Zhang Xingyun took the elves to the club's training room for training. During this period, Charmander also became stronger after careful cultivation and no longer looked thin. After spending a lot of resources, the other energies in Charmander's body were almost neutralized. At present, it can use smoke moves, and it will probably be able to use fire skills soon. Zhang Xingyun also found that Charmander didn't seem to be afraid of water. During one training, Charmander was sprayed by the water gun used for training, and he didn't show much fear. You know, Charmander is a fire elf. Considering Charmander's physical fitness, Zhang Xingyun did not break his promise, but waited for Charmander to recover. Bang, bang, bang. It was Charmander who was hitting the sandbag, making a banging sound. He looked very serious and his posture was very standard. He was strictly following Zhang Xingyun's training. Charmander's will was also very firm. He always completed the task over time and performed very well. Every time he received praise from Zhang Xingyun, he was always very happy. Zhang Xingyun was very sad to see Charmander like this. He communicated with Charmander many times and said that he would not abandon it. He didn't need to do this and could go play for a while. But the effect was not great, so he just let it go. Charmander did a great job. Wu. Zhang Xingyun touched Charmander's head and praised. Looking at the stopwatch in his hand, Charmander had been training for 2 hours in a row. Zhang Xingyun still remembered that when Charmander came to the training room to train, it was about 20 minutes, and he was very tired. After being stopped, he took a rest. After that, the training time was longer and longer. It can also be seen that Charmander's physical fitness has recovered very well, and he is also very hardworking. After letting Charmander play with Squirtle and the others for a while, Zhang Xingyun walked to the vicinity of Electabuzz. He watched as 4 machines that shot out lightning infused Electabuzz with lightning, while Electabuzz sat cross-legged on the ground, with arcs of electricity flashing on the ground around its body. Very good. It looks like Electabuzz will be able to evolve soon. Zhang Xingyun looked at Electabuzz and said with a smile, "Hey boo." Electabuzz opened its eyes, then soared into the sky, wrapped in circles of lightning, and rushed down to the ground. With a bang, the elliptical energy body formed by lightning slammed into the ground, and dust flew up and dirt splattered. A transparent wall appeared in front of Zhang Xingyun, blocking all the flying objects, and not being affected. Hey boo. Electabuzz walked out of the smoke and dust, and its training this time was considered a success. Electabuzz did a good job, but I suggest that when you land, don't release the energy immediately, but find a point of force, and try to rotate. Rotate in this elliptical shape, the damage will be very optimistic. You can try it. Zhang Xingyun suggested. Hey boo. This training of Electabuzz was also proposed by Zhang Xingyun. Gather the power of thunder and lightning, soar into the sky, and then use specific techniques to communicate the attraction of the electric energy on the ground, as well as gravity, and use the legs as the attacking part, attacking from top to bottom. Now add a rotation when attacking the target, and the imagination will be stronger. But the difficulty of training will also increase accordingly. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 257 New Year. Days passed one after another, and time came to New Year's Eve. Walking on the street, seeing the red banners hanging on both sides of the road and the sound of firecrackers, they all conveyed the arrival of the new year. Since the advent of the elves, some of people's habits have also changed, such as being able to play with firecrackers and fireworks in the city. In addition, people's living conditions in cities are generally better now, and their purchasing power is also strong. When the time comes, it has a very New Year's flavor. Zhang Xingyun carried a bag of food, followed by Electabuzz and Madame Huaji, and returned home. This time he went out to buy New Year's goods. Woo Woo, Kami Kami, Benny, Dragonite, Squirtle, and Charmander were all wearing a red robe, which looked very festive. Not only Dragonite, but also Giant Claw Mantis and Nidoking were like this, which was also the reason for Zhang Xingyun. Now Dragonite and the other two were playing with firecrackers on the training ground, just like children playing with firecrackers. Although the movement of this firecracker was not as loud as their skills, they just thought it was fun. Shakiris was buried in the sand pile nearby, while Electabuzz and Madame Huaji were helping Zhang Xingyun clean up the house. Soon it was night, and Zhang Xingyun and the elves gathered together to eat this reunion dinner. The meal was delicious and tasty, and with the atmosphere outside, they were very happy to eat it. At this time, it should be the time to have a reunion dinner at home, when dad, mom, and big brother are all there. Woo woo. It's okay. Eat. It's great to have you company. Zhang Xingyun remembered the scenes of celebrating the new year in Qingshu Town in previous years, and saw the elves eating happily in front of him, and he felt a little emotional. Qingshu Town is coming soon. Buzz buzz buzz. At this time, Zhang Xingyun's mobile phone vibrated, and he clicked it, and saw that it was a video call from Nangang Yeo. Hahaha, Xingyun. Happy New Year, this is eating. In the video, Nangang Yeo was wearing a light red down jacket, with delicate features and smiling eyes, saying Happy New Year very festively. Have fun together. Nangang, you are in Jinling now, right? Yeah, I just finished the New Year's Eve dinner. I can receive red envelopes later. Yeah, that's good. After chatting for a while, after hanging up the phone, another call came in. It was from Zhang Xiaoyu. Happy New Year, Sister Xiaoyu. Xingyun, you too. They also said something like Happy New Year, put down the phone, and continued to eat. He received calls from Yi Crossing and others one after another, and the general meaning was Happy New Year, and asked him to go out and get together. Zhang Xingyun thought about it, and since there was nothing to do, he agreed. Swish, swish, bang bang bang. When walking on the street, you can see the brilliant fireworks in the sky, and also smell the unique gunpowder smell of fireworks. Yi Crossing, Chen Yu, Gao Yuan, He Jingwen, Fang Hongjian, these classmates who usually have a good relationship with each other all came out and happily played until midnight, and Zhang Xingyun returned home. This year, it was pretty good. Hey, this red envelope is from Nidoking, this one is from Squirtle, and this one. Zhang Xingyun took out a red envelope and handed it to the elves. This red envelope is made of energy cubes. With Zhang Xingyun's production level, it is not difficult to make it, and it is considered a festive occasion. After sniffing it, Baby Dragon threw it into his mouth, chewed it a few times, and swallowed it into his stomach. After seeing it, Squirtle also threw it into his mouth and started eating. Judging from its expression, it was quite delicious. Haha, eat it. If I give you New Year's money, you don't know how to use it, so I give you this. This is our human custom. At this time, we will give this. Hey boo Nidoking, and others started eating. Hey, Charmander, why don't you eat it? Is it not to your taste? Zhang Xingyun saw Charmander holding the little red envelope, staring at the red envelope in his hand, and squatted down without starting to eat. Charmander said that this was the first gift it received, and it cherished it very much. Haha, Charmander, this is nothing. I gave you this, just for you to eat. Cammy belly. After being persuaded by Zhang Xingyun and Squirtle, Charmander ate it. After swallowing the red envelope, Charmander told Zhang Xingyun and the Pokémons about its experience. Charmander was hatched in November, and then followed a new trainer as his Pokémon. The trainer it followed was very wealthy, very face-loving, and a person with a lot of ideas. At first, Charmander relied on the resources provided by the trainer and his own good qualifications to defeat the enemies one after another, bringing a lot of face to its trainer. But in a battle, Charmander was defeated by a water slug, and its nightmare began. Its trainer purchased a lot of water and ice treasures, saying that he wanted to transform it. Thinking that Charmander is a fire-type Pokémon, if it can resist those restraining attributes, wouldn't it be very advantageous in battle? Charmander didn't dare to disobey the trainer's orders, because it followed him not long after it was born. Just like that, Charmander's physical condition deteriorated day by day, and it became weaker and weaker. Its trainer took it to battle, and 9 out of 10 times it lost. In the end, it was abandoned, and became a wandering Pokémon. It didn't know what it did wrong. It has always been very obedient. Even if it doesn't like those things, as long as its training requires it, it will swallow and use them. After several twists and turns, it appeared on the Golden Gate Street. Many trainers saw it and expressed great interest, but after a careful examination, they left silently. It still remembers the eyes of those people looking at it and the scolding words. It was also bought by the new trainer, but when it was sent to the hospital, it saw the price of recovery and abandoned it again. It returned to its original place, and that's how it was, until it met Zhang Xingyun. It can be said that this period of time was the darkest and most painful time for Charmander. Okay, it's all over. From now on, we will be your family and your partners. Charmander threw himself into Zhang Xingyun's arms and began to cry. Squirtle and several other elves also came to comfort it. After comforting it for a long time, Charmander stopped crying. There are so many abandoned children in the fire system. For a moment, Zhang Xingyun didn't know what to say. Among the elves, there are cruel elves and kind elves. There are also good people and bad people. This is very difficult to say and very complicated. Chapter 258 Charmander Evolution. Time passed quickly, and soon it was March. After a period of training, the strength of the elves was steadily increasing. The one who made the fastest progress was Charmander. With Zhang Xingyun investing so many resources and energy, Charmander's body returned to normal and also gained some strange changes. Woo. In the club training room in Changling City, Charmander was wrapped in a ball of sparks and howled. Compared to when it first met, Charmander has grown healthier and stronger. Now, it is in the process of evolution. An elf standing on 2 feet appeared in front of Zhang Xingyun. It was Charmeleon. Congratulations, Charmeleon. Our Charmeleon lowered its head towards Zhang Xingyun very docilely, allowing him to touch it. Charmeleon's forelimbs and hind limbs are longer than Charmander's, and its claws have become longer. There is a bulge on its head, and its tail has become longer. The red color of its body has become deeper. There is still flame on its tail, and its mouth has become a bit like a bird's beak. Compared with Charmander, the evolved Charmeleon is less soft and more fierce. Name: Charmeleon. Female. Attribute: fire. Characteristics: power of the sun, abnormal. Qualification: deep blue. Strength, normal. Midterm skills: howl, impact, stare, claws, rage, million-ton boxing, million-ton kick, sword dance, split, jet flame, dragon's fury, shadow clone. Charmeleon's rapid progress was also within Zhang Xingyun's expectations. After curing its own problems, its strength has also improved further, reaching the normal midterm, and its qualifications are also blue in the green. Not only Charmeleon has made progress, but Squirtle and others have also made progress. Squirtle is now at the normal late stage, Baby Dragon is at the normal midterm, and Electabuzz has also recently broken through the bottleneck, and its strength has reached the peak of the normal level, and it is time for it to evolve. Shakiras also caught up with Electabuzz, and his strength reached the peak of the ordinary level. Nidoking and the others did not improve much, but overall they did improve. Charmeleon could be so fast, which was inseparable from the treasures in its body. After digesting it, when its body got some changes, its strength also improved rapidly. In the afternoon, let's go to Yangtze Forest for a trial. Arkami Bay. Zhang Xingyun's proposal was unanimously approved by them. During this period of time, they were more willing to go to actual combat. There must be a battle. After fighting with Yi Crossing and the others several times, the overall effect was not bad. Today, seeing that Charmeleon had also improved, and there was still time, he planned to go to Yangtze Forest for actual combat. At about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, Zhang Xingyun and the elves came to the inner circle of Yangtze Forest. With Baby Dragon and Charmeleon around him, Zhang Xingyun also disguised himself a little, so he would not be discovered to be him. Bayakami. The 3 little ones roared at the several Pidgeots flying in the sky. When passing by here, they were attacked by these Pidgeots and mocked. This made the 3 little ones very unhappy, and they bared their teeth at the Pidgeots in the sky. Okay, stop yelling, attack in a triangle, and knock them down. Zhang Xingyun said to the 3 little ones, asking them to use the coordinated attack they practiced every day. After hearing this, the 3 little ones immediately used their skills: Freezing Ray, Jet Flame, and Dragon's Rage. 3 skills attacked in 3 directions, and then moved and changed. Pyre Pidgeot was knocked down, because it was not careful. Seeing this, the other Pidgeots also knew that the opponent was not easy to mess with, and they broke out in all directions, some on the left and some on the right. Bang bang bang, 2 more Pidgeots and 3 Pidgeots fell down. The cross attack of the 3 little ones is not unsolvable. As long as the speed is fast, and they break out upwards, they can do it. But these Pidgeots were confused at the beginning, so they suffered such a big loss. Those who fell to the ground did not lose their combat ability immediately, and were supplemented by Shakiras who came out of the Pokeball. With the joint efforts of the 4 of them, 6 Pokémon were knocked down, 1 of which was in the middle stage of the common level, 2 were in the early stage of the common level, and 3 were in the late stage of the novice level. Charmeleon and others won the battle at a small cost. It was a good start. If you had been faster just now, there would have been a lot of Pokémons falling down. By the time I reminded you, it would have been a bit too late. Aoakami Baby Dragon ran to a Pidgeot, jumped hard a few times, and let out a breath of air. It was this Pokémon that had just attacked it, and laughed at it after it took off. Bang, bang, bang. Baby Dragon then stepped on it several times, and let out a breath of air of anger. Fly, I can definitely do it. Baby Dragon said secretly in his heart. He was eager to fly. When he evolved, he could soar into the blue sky. Boom on the field, Zhang Xingyun, Squirtle and baby dragon Pokémons were on the side, and Charmeleon was fighting with two paras. One of the parists had the strength of an ordinary late stage warrior, and the other had the strength of an ordinary mid stage warrior. At this time, they were still at a disadvantage against the Charmeleon. After strict training, and favorable conditions such as attribute restraint, the Charmeleon fought more and more happily. Bang, avoiding the continuous slashes of the parist, and dodging the cross poison blade of the other one, the Charmeleon used the big tree, and disappeared after a few jumps. The two parists looked around very vigilantly, and they knew that the Charmeleon must not have left. Russell, the Charmeleon jumped down from the dense leaves, its claws glowing, and slashed at the two parists fiercely. The attack was successful, and after another attack of spraying flames, it pulled away. When it looked clearly, one of the parists had lost consciousness and fell to the side. Other Charmeleon didn't have so many concerns now, and rushed forward directly. Just now, it encountered two of them, and it was only one person, so it had to be more careful, but now it didn't need to be careful, and the remaining one parist had no other effect on it. After a while, Charmeleon succeeded in taking down the two peristases at the cost of minor injuries, completing a double kill. Very good, worthy of praise. After treating Charmeleon's injuries, he put the two peristases away. Charmeleon has fought many battles, some in collaboration with Baby Dragon and others, and some alone like now, and they all performed very well. He is also very enthusiastic about fighting, and he will strive to be the first in every battle. In the battle, he also adapted to his newly evolved body, and his strength has improved a lot, especially his mastery of moves, which has become more proficient. When you come to the wild, you can be ruthless without scruples, and your opponent will not let you go. Such a battle is very beneficial to growth. But you have to win. The end of losing is Chapter 259, The Cooperation of the Four Little Ones. Squeak, there was a noise in the bushes not far away. After using his spiritual power to check, he found several teenagers squatting quietly in the bushes. Don't get me wrong, senior. We are just passing by. We have no ill intentions. When an older teenager saw Zhang Xingyun looking at them, he knew he was discovered and hurried out to explain. Judging from their appearance, they were also ready to retreat. Yeah. Zhang Xingyun hummed lightly, and then disappeared from the spot in an instant. Are you leaving? Then can we pick up the fruits from the trees here? A teenager in grey clothes next to him said. This. After the leading teenager hesitated for a while, he shouted a few times at the air, gritted his teeth, and then signaled his companions to pick up. Zhang Xingyun looked down on something, but it didn't mean they looked down on it. The teenagers could see that Zhang Xingyun had no time to deal with them, so they quickly picked up the fruits and left the place. Judging from the elves and equipment carried by the four teenagers, their family background was probably very ordinary. Soon, Zhang Xingyun came to a water source, took some water, and let Kamestotl swim in the stream for a few times. There were a few elves in the river, but they did not attack Kamestotl, and Zhang Xingyun did not want to pay attention to them. After letting Kamestotl swim for a few times, he left here. Kamestotl is a water elf, and likes swimming very much. Although there are swimming pools in the city, there is always a lack of that feeling, so if there is a chance, when encountering a stream in the wild, Kamestotl will also swim a few times. If an elf attacks them, it is just right for Kamestotl to get exercise. Walking in the dense forest, there are many thick layers of leaves piled on the ground. When shoes and boots step on them, there is a crackling sound of branches breaking. The air is still fresh, which is much better than the city. Zhang Xingyun released the elf power and looked around carefully. This environment is also the best cover for some hunters. Zhang Xingyun took 3 elves and strolled in the forest. Thinking back to when I was only a novice, I was so cautious when I came here. Now that Nidoking and the others have become stronger, and my own abilities have also broken through, I walk here very calmly, as if I were taking a walk. After walking for a while, I ran into a family of Arboks who were eating. 2 Arboks and 3 Arboks were gnawing on the body of a mongoose. The scene was very bloody. Hiss when the male Arbok saw Zhang Xingyun and the 3 elves. Hissing a few times, another Arbok and 3 Arboks also flashed with bloodthirsty light in their eyes, staring at Zhang Xingyun and the 3 elves. Fuck, the male Arbok opened his mouth, and dense poison needles shot out from it, leaning towards Zhang Xingyun. In that case, don't blame me. Shakarus, hold on. Shakarus came out of the Pokeball, and when he landed, a sandstorm immediately flew up, condensing into a square-shaped sand wall, intercepting the poison needles. Now there is a temporary challenge. Charmeleon, Squirtle, Dragonite and Shakarus, the 4 of you can kill them all. Zhang Xingyun issued his instructions, and Dragonite and the other 3 rushed over directly after hearing it. Pay attention to cooperation in group combat. You must use what you have trained in normal times. Come on, Iron Mantis will help you. Zhang Xingyun used his telepathy to cheer them up. Originally, I didn't want to deal with the Arbok family, but now it's just right to let Dragonite and the others go. 1 Arbok that has just entered the elite level, 1 ordinary late stage, 1 ordinary early stage Arbok, and the remaining 2 are novice level. This lineup is perfect. Giant Mantis, get ready. Zhang Xingyun whispered to the belt through telepathy. Buzz buzz buzz, the elves on the belt vibrated a few times, indicating that they knew. The reason why they didn't want to release the giant mantises to raid the battlefield was that they were afraid that they would affect the battle once they came out. If the giant mantises stood aside, I believe that the Arbok would run away immediately and would definitely not have the intention to fight. But it's different now. If they don't come out, the Arbok will not know, and it seems that there is hope of winning. In this way, the combat power of the Arboks will be very high, which will be more effective in actual combat. As for Zhang Xingyun, the Arbok will not pay attention to him. The key is to deal with the 4 elves in front of him, especially the baby dragon. The breath exuded by the body makes it salivate. If it can swallow it into its stomach, it will be of great benefit to itself. Mingzai's elves, except for the elf in the sand, which one is not fragrant. This was also the purpose of the Arbok's active attack. With its elite strength, it could fight against these 4. As long as it spent time, and had the help of its family, it would have a great chance of success. This was much more cost effective than hunting a mongoose. The more it thought about it, the more beautiful it became, and the more fierce its attack became. The elite Arbok attacked Shakarus, who was controlling the game, because Arbok felt the threat of Shakarus to it. As long as it was dealt with, the victory would be won. Seeing this, Stottle also ran to help Shakarus. Charmeleon faced another Arbok, and Baby Dragon also fought 1 vs 3. Baby Dragon rushed directly, and killed a novice level Arbok in a few moves. Seeing this, the female Arbok also came around, and cooperated with the 2 Arboks to deal with the attacks of Baby Dragon and Charmeleon. Whoosh swish bang. For a moment, the sound of skills colliding resounded throughout the area, stirring up billowing smoke and dust, and the ground was covered with broken wood and grass. Well, very good, you know how to cooperate, and you also put what you have trained to use. You deserve praise. Zhang Xingyun stood on the trunk of a towering tree in the distance, and watched Shakarus's battle. Hey boo Electabuzz appeared beside him, shouting that he wanted to go down. I know you are powerful. If you join, Arbok will definitely collapse, but this does not meet my expectations. Not only do you have to fight, but Shakarus and others also have to fight. Now it is Shakarus and its cooperation. In the future, there will be cooperation between you, and Shakarus and others. Hey boo there will be a chance. The situation on the field has also changed. After all, Charmeleon and others are elves that have been carefully cultivated, and naturally they are not comparable to ordinary wild elves. While Shakarus and Stottle teamed up to beat Arbok, Charmeleon and Dragonite were also besieging the female Arbok, which was also in danger. Chapter 260, The fish that slipped through the net appears. Fuck, the female Arbok screamed in pain, and the Arbok fighting Shakarus was also affected after hearing it. Bang bang, Arbok's entire body was blown up, even hitting Shunu. Shakikami, a fist made of condensed sand, with frost on the surface, is a skill performed by Shakarus and Stottle. Bang, it hit Arbok hard, and the ground began to shake a little. The frost on the sand fist also fell to the ground, and with the whirring sound, it condensed again, and fell down again. Arbok is famous for its cunning and insidiousness. Zhang Xingyun has emphasized this many times, so naturally he has to attack more. AOAOB on the other side, Charmeleon and Baby Dragon's offensive became more intense. After 2 dragon rages, Arbok lay on the ground and fainted. The battle ended with Shakiris and the others winning the final victory. Arbok, the hunter who was full of confidence, became the hunted and one of the harvest. After sorting out the spoils, it was time to heal the wounds of the baby dragons. They were also injured in the previous battle. The injuries of the baby dragons and the fire dinosaurs were more serious. Fortunately, Madame Huaji was there, and she used healing moves to cover the 4 little ones and heal them. Zhang Xingyun first removed his disguise and took a breath, and also released the giant claw mantis and others to let them come out and move around. Hey, this kid's Pokémon is so rare. Do you want to do something, old Wu? In a hidden corner, 2 men were watching with binoculars and saw the scene of the baby dragons being treated. After listening to this, old Wu frowned slightly and then said, "This man actually has so many pressure cells. His family can't be that bad, right? Maybe he has a guardian elf." Old Wu looked carefully at his belt. There are only a few. Now his elves are out. There are only 4 elite elves: Giant Claw Mantis, Nidoking, Lady Flower Clean, and Pidgeot. Anyway, our base has been destroyed. The loss is a bit huge, and many things are still left. Why not kill this kid, snatch his elves, and send them to the organization after contacting them? I believe the reward will be great. If you don't send them, you can train them yourself. This square-faced, small-eyed, short, and fat man with yellow teeth said to old Wu beside him. His tone was full of temptation. "We can definitely take it down together. You have 3 elite combat forces, and I also have 3 elite combat forces. There is no reason why we can't take it down." "But, old Huang, I always feel that something is wrong. I don't know what's going on. How about forget it?" Old Wu suggested very cautiously. "Old Wu, this opportunity is rare and will never come back. If we can capture that guy this time, we will definitely be able to take another step forward. We will definitely be able to become a quasi king, and we can also give the king a try. Those are 2 quasi gods. This opportunity is rare and will never come back. You can tell at a glance that the guy is a rich kid who has just started out. Look at how many elves he has, and he didn't even arrange for them to be on guard. He still dares to stay in the same place. Do you think we have killed enough people like him in the past? Okay, I'll do it." After listening to this, old Wu observed carefully for a while and found that it was indeed as old Huang said. Zhang Xingyun's behavior was very similar to that of a newcomer. He didn't even make any preparations. He made up his mind and couldn't help his greed, so he agreed. They were originally members of a rocket team based somewhere in the South China Sea. They were lucky enough to avoid the government's actions and hid in this cloud star forest. They also killed a lot of trainees and robbed bad things. Now seeing Zhang Xingyun, a fat sheep, there is no reason to let him go. Let's do this, and then do this. Yeah, we can also do this. The 2 of them often work together. After chatting for a while, they roughly determined the plan. Okay, it's enough to rest. Let's let Electabuzz and Lady Huaji come next. Hey boo hoo, as for Shakiris and you, just watch the battle in the Pokeball. Be okay, since you don't want to, baby dragon, then follow. Zhang Xingyun glanced in one direction and walked towards the northeast with the 3 Pokémon. He felt that someone was spying on him, and the source was outside of his mental power. Zhang Xingyun didn't want to pay attention to it. Maybe it was a passing trainer who happened to see him when he was looking around with a telescope. This phenomenon is also very common. Sometimes, Zhang Xingyun would happen to see others when using a telescope, but he didn't take it to heart. After walking for a while, Zhang Xingyun found something wrong. Within the range of his mental power, there were 2 men following him, sneaking around. After walking a little further, the man behind him kept following him. Zhang Xingyun had a clue in his mind. He probably encountered a murderer and robber. Judging from the feedback of his mental power, the Pokeballs on the belts of the 2 men each had 3 elite level auras. Then let's see if you have what it takes. Just then, a pair of giant hornets blocked the way. In a few seconds, the pair of giant hornets were knocked to the ground by Madame Huaji and the electric beast. Help! Help! Little brother, help! I'm from the Wu family in Yangcheng. Help me! A ragged man, tumbling and crawling, fell down several times and looked very embarrassed. He ran towards Zhang Xingyun calling for help as he walked, and a cat boss who looked equally miserable followed him. "Little brother, help me, someone is chasing me from behind. He has taken all my gains." The only elf left is the cat boss. "Your elf is so extraordinary. It must be a dragon among men and a future pillar of the country. You will definitely not stand by and watch me die." The man stopped not far away and flattered him. He also took out a seal to prove his identity. "Hahaha, of course. You hide aside first, and I will see who dares to act wild in front of me." After listening to Zhang Xingyun, he also pretended to be a passionate young man. "Thank you very much. I knew that a big shot like you would not stand by and watch me die." Old Wu said flattering words, thinking in his heart that he was stupid. He had met similar people before who were ambitious, and he liked this kind of people the most. He thought this trick would not work, and he had prepared several routines, but he didn't expect that the young man in front of him had already taken the bait, and now other plans were useless. "Hehe, do you think that kid can save you?" Leo Huang also appeared at this time, with 5 elves beside him. Judging from their energy fluctuations, they were all elite level elves. Chapter 261 Acting. Zhang Xingyun also let them go forward to confront him, and the situation was deadlocked for a while. "Little brother, let's join forces. I'll be the best," Old Wu said on the side, and one hand secretly reached behind him. I don't know what he was doing, but a colorless and tasteless airwave spread out from behind him. "Sure enough, this is interesting," Zhang Xingyun said secretly. He also knew that the thing was soft god powder, which could make people unconscious without any sound. For Pokémon, it didn't have any effect because of different physiques. As long as he could deal with the trainer, his Pokémon strength would naturally not be fully exerted. Around his body, he used his supernatural power to condense a colorless protective shield to isolate himself. "Okay, let's join forces, and we can bring him to justice just now. He is not a good person," Zhang Xingyun said immediately. Judging from his appearance, Old Huan was not a good person at first glance, and Old Wu rarely looked honest. But they probably didn't know that Zhang Xingyun was a person with special abilities, so Old Wu dared to release the soft god powder secretly. "Okay, boss cat, go ahead." The wave of evil. Meow. A huge ball-shaped object attacked Zhang Xingyun's side, and with a bang, it blew Nidoking back a few steps. Nidoking lay on the side, wailing continuously, as if he had suffered a heavy blow. "Not bad, not bad, Nidoking. When you eat, I'll give you a chicken leg." Zhang Xingyun naturally told the elves what he knew, and Nidoking was like this now, because of Zhang Xingyun's hint. Aren't you going to join forces with me? Why are you attacking me?" Zhang Xingyun looked at Leo Wu with an unbelievable look and questioned him. "Hahaha, kid, you are still too young. Everything you have belongs to the two of us." Leo Wu tore off his originally embarrassed and honest face and smiled grimly. "Your elves are so precious, we can't help but be tempted." Leo Huang on the side also came over and looked at Zhang Xingyun, who was protected by the elves. "Want to resist? Don't you feel your whole body going weak? It will be easy, as long as you fall down." Looking at the weak Zhang Xingyun, Leo Huang laughed sinisterly. "Who are you?" "Hahaha, it doesn't matter if I tell you, so that you can die with peace of mind. We are both from Team Rocket. Remember, kid, don't be a good person in your next life." The two of them were on each side, not rushing forward, but watching playfully like a cat playing with a mouse. Of course, they were also waiting for the drug to take effect completely, so that they could seize the elves at a very small cost. "Oh, Team Rocket, then don't blame me." At this time, Zhang Xingyun no longer looked weak, but full of energy. His eyes were also shining, and the two realized that something was wrong. An inexplicable energy attached to Leo Wu's body. Leo Wu also struggled, but found that he couldn't struggle. With a whoosh, his figure disappeared from the spot and appeared in front of Zhang Xingyun. Meow. The cat boss saw the trainer like this and wanted to rush over to help, but Zhang Xingyun was too fast, and it was too late. Old Wu was very frightened. He knew that Zhang Xingyun was a capable person. He had hit a wall this time. But Old Wu did not give up the resistance. In a flash, a dagger appeared in his hand and stabbed Zhang Xingyun at a very tricky angle. It can be seen that he is an old hand. Good reaction. It's a pity that you are not as fast as me. Zhang Xingyun's hand appeared on Old Wu's neck and twisted it hard. There was a sound of bones cracking. Old Wu's eyes opened wide and the light in his pupils gradually dimmed. He lost his life at this moment. He regretted it a little at this moment. Why did he come to rob Zhang Xingyun? Why didn't he leave a Pokémon by his side? Why didn't he be more careful just now? Why? Snap! Old Wu's body fell to the ground with a snap. Yeah, that's right. Pokémon without trainers are easier to deal with. I agree with that statement. Zhang Xingyun said sincerely, his eyes still shining, and he looked at Leo Huang with a smile. You are a superpower. Facing Zhang Xingyun's gaze, Leo Huang was horrified. He just wanted to run away. Facing a superpower with that kind of unfathomable ability, he knew he was no match. Didn't you see what happened to Leo Wu? He was killed on the spot in just a few seconds. He died before he could react. At this moment, Leo Huang's body was also shining. Fortunately, he shouted for help to the Pokémon, and with the help of a leopard next to him, he was not teleported away. Zhang Xingyun was not disappointed when he saw this situation. Then he teleported Nidoking and Giant Claw Mantis to Leo Huang's side. Nidohass and the two Pokémon got close to each other and faced the leopards. Even if they were 2 against 4, they were not at a disadvantage. They also suppressed them tightly. After being possessed by spirits, Nidoking can cause great damage when it gets close to him. The farmer's 3 punches equipped make Nidoking's close combat ability extremely powerful. Pipegi had finished gathering strength in the sky, and a brave bird rushed down. With a loud bang, smoke and dust were raised, and the airwaves were like tides. Cool the strange force, who was taken special care of by the 3 elves, was directly killed on the spot. The scene suddenly became 4 vs 5. Meow! Many green vines grew around the cat boss, entangled it, and tied it here. Flower! A heavenly sound penetrated its eardrums and made its heart float. Pa, pa, pa. When it woke up, there were many scars on its body, and a green energy ball was directly hit on its face. Bang! Meow! The cat boss was directly blown up and crawled to the ground. When it stood up tremblingly and prepared to fight again, another charming voice came into its ears. In an instant, the painful expression turned into a pig face, staring at Madame Huaji in front of him, his eyes full of love. Madame Huaji smiled quietly, but her subordinates showed no mercy and hit the cat boss hard. Meow! In the end, the cat boss was helplessly killed by Madame Huaji. The cat boss lying on the ground still had a smile on his face, which also let Zhang Xingyun know that the charm of Madame Huaji after evolution has increased. Great, very exciting fighting style, very good. I will prepare energy blocks for you to increase your charm, and you can develop in this direction. Zhang Xingyun agreed with Madame Huaji's behavior and had a plan in mind to let Madame Huaji deepen her training in this area. Madame Huaji smiled gently at Zhang Xingyun and then went to support Nidoking and the others. Chapter 262 Do It Yourself. The battlefield on Nidoking's side was already being suppressed, and it became even more unstoppable after Madame Huaji joined. The original 4 elite level elves were already struggling to deal with the 3 elves of Giant Claw Mantis, Nidoking, and Pidgeot, not to mention the addition of Madame Huaji. This time I've hit a wall. Damn it, I have to find a chance to escape. Leo Huang, under the protection of the elves, looked around and wanted to escape when he saw that he couldn't beat them. As for Leo Wu, he was powerless. Whether he could escape was another matter. The ability of the ability user was very profound, but he would definitely not sit and wait for death just because Zhang Xingyun was an ability and he had to find a way to escape. Cool Leopard, Shadow Ball, everyone hold on, our support will arrive soon. We want to avenge Leo Wu, come on. He gave Cool Leopard a look casually and then cheered the elves up. As for the support he mentioned, there was definitely no support, just to deceive the elves, so that the elves would work hard to get him a chance to escape. His words were effective. After hearing them, Leo Wu's 2 Pokémon fought even more fiercely. Boom boom! Leo Huang took advantage of the smoke and dust and quickly retreated. Cool Leopard also took advantage of Nidoking's bombardment and flew backwards for a distance. With the help of the tree trunk, he jumped to Leo Huang's side. Leo Huang held several kinking bombs and other tool bombs in his hand and threw them at the ground. With a sizzling sound, white mist filled the air and filled the area with white mist. In the white mist, Leo Huang also put on a set of high-tech equipment. He looked at the watch on his hand and ran away in one direction. Cool Leopard followed him. Boom gas fuck, if I have a chance in the future, I will avenge you. Listening to the roar and screams coming from behind, Leo Huang didn't dare to look back. Pokémon can be retrained. He only has one. As long as he is still there, it is only a matter of time to train the Pokémon to the elite level. The reason why he called away the Cool Leopard was because it was his initial Pokémon and had been with him the longest. In addition, he also needed an elite level combat force in the wild, so he called for the Cool Leopard. Otherwise, it would be very dangerous here with a few ordinary level Pokémon on his belt. I'm sorry to tell you that you don't have a chance. Suddenly, Zhang Xingyun appeared in front of Leo Huang, looking at him with a smile on his face. Leo Huang cried out in his heart that it was not good and could only call out two ordinary level Pokémon in the Pokéball. An ordinary mid-stage Chicken and an ordinary late-stage Metamorph. The qualifications of these two Pokémon are relatively high. Charmeleon Toucan is left to you, and Squirtle Metamorph is yours. Shakarus, Squirtle, and Electabuzz, the three of you will deal with the Cool Leopard. Zhang Xingyun called out Shakarus and the others, and issued an order. After Squirtle and the others came out and heard the order, they rushed to kill. The battle started here again. Hey boo after Zhang Xingyun's instant movement, the three Electabuzz appeared next to Cool Leopard. Cool Leopard had no choice but to fight with the three Pokémon. Damn it, he treated me as a training object. Seeing Zhang Xingyun's leisurely look, Leo Huang's face was a little ugly. But he couldn't leave, so he could only bite the bullet and command the Pokémon to fight back. Cool Leopard is a mid-elite Pokémon with dark green qualifications and relatively complete moves. So Zhang Xingyun asked the three Pokémon including Electabuzz to beat up Cool Leopard. The battle between Squirtle and Charmeleon was suppressing their opponents from the beginning, while Electabuzz was a little difficult. Fortunately, Electabuzz had a strong foundation. With it as the main force, they fought 3 against 1, and fought back and forth. Damn it. Leo Huang saw this situation. He was also a veteran, and knew that he would lose if he continued like this. Zhang Xingyun on the side did not make a move, but this might be his opportunity. It might be that his ability needs time. When dealing with Old Wu just now, it was estimated that a lot of energy was consumed, and it would take time to recover. Leo Huang thought so. He took out weapons from the space, and there were also powerful bombs. Hey, if you do this, I will intervene. Zhang Xingyun's voice came to Leo Huang's ears, but he ignored it. Because he had no choice but to fight hard, even if the opponent was an unfathomable ability user. It's boring. Leo Huang opened his eyes wide, and he found that he could not control his body. There was a strange energy attached to his body, and he seemed to be unable to breathe. His Pokémon Cool Leopard also saw Leo Huang's appearance and wanted to come to assist him, but was stopped by the 3 Pokémons of the electric beast. Woo, spare my life. At this point, he could only beg for mercy. Zhang Xingyun loosened some of his control, and with a snap, Leo Huang's body fell to the ground. Tell me where you are from the rocket team, and it's better to tell the truth. Zhang Xingyun walked over and said coldly to Leo Huang, who was shouting on the ground. I am. Maybe the control intensity was a bit too strong just now. Leo Huang was still panting when he said this. I'm your father. Leo Huang held the bomb in his arms and threw it towards Zhang Xingyun. Cool Leopard also broke out and rushed to Leo Huang's side. Hey, I wanted to spare your life, but now. Zhang Xingyun's figure disappeared on the spot, and the next second he appeared behind Leo Huang, punching him with a cannon. Cool, then you die too. When Cool Leopard saw Zhang Xingyun appear behind Leo Huang, it was eager to protect its master, so it pounced on him alone, with a faint light on its claws. Cool Leopard felt its body stagnate for a while, and it struggled hard to break free. Its claws stopped 10 centimeters in front of Zhang Xingyun, and when it moved, it made a clicking sound, but it couldn't go deeper. It's my turn. A large hand with a faint glow slapped the Cool Leopard to the ground. In the air, there were more than a dozen fist-shaped phantoms, one by one, blasting down at the Cool Leopard. Boom boom boom. A pit was directly blasted out where the cool leopard fell. The cool leopard in the pit looked very pitiful, spitting blood, but the energy fists in the sky continued to blast down one by one, mercilessly. The cool leopard also struggled, but under the influence of Zhang Xingyun's ability, it could not struggle, and could only passively take the beating. The evil attributed cool leopard is immune to the super energy ability when the realm difference is not big, but Zhang Xingyun's energy contains not only super energy, but also other life energy, so the cool leopard can only take the beating. Chapter 263 A Great Harvest. Cool leopard, stop, please stop. A middle-aged man in tattered clothes knelt on the ground and cried to a teenager. With the bloody cool leopard in the pit, it should be a scene of a willful young man bullying a civilian. I gave you a chance, but you are useless. Boom 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 cool at this moment, Zhang Xingyun felt like a villain, not to mention that this feeling is really good. After beating cool leopard to a bloody mess and fainting, he pinched Liu Huang's neck the next second. What did you say just now? Say it again. Spare my life, I can tell you the secret, and give you all my wealth. Please spare my life, which is also an offense I just made. Pidgeot flew over and told him that the problem had been solved. Liu Huang completely gave up struggling and only begged Zhang Xingyun to spare his life. Hey click Liu Huang's last words were also stuck in his throat and he died unwillingly. Zhang Xingyun reached out and threw Liu Huang's body on the ground, wiped his hands with a tissue, and then searched for things on his body. Not to mention that there were still a lot of good things, plus Liu Wu's share. Zhang Xingyun was considered to have made a fortune. Zhang Xingyun also learned some information from their things. The Elf Center had the information of these two people. He could make another fortune by taking the bodies of these two people and adding these identity certificates. There are still many good people in this world. Knowing that I'm poor, two people came to give their heads. I have to thank the two brothers for their contribution. Looking at the pile of things in front of him, Zhang Xingyun smiled. During this period of time, the elves evolved one after another, consuming a lot of money and resources. Zhang Xingyun was still a little tight on money recently. Now with this batch, he doesn't have to worry for at least a while. 6 elite level elves, although 2 died, these bank cards should still have money. Ordinary level elves, there are still. After Zhang Xingyun finished the calculation, he put them into the space and put all the elves into the elf ball, leaving only Pidgeot. He sat on it, and with a cry, Pidgeot took off and flew towards Changning City. Today's actual combat is over. Now I have to rush back to Changning to squeeze out the surplus value of these two people. This time, when he heard that the two were Team Rocket, Zhang Xingyun wanted to kill them. He didn't forget that he almost died when the blood bats chased him. Maybe he paid attention to disguise or something in the past few months, so the members of Team Rocket didn't bother him. Anyway, the feud was settled. On the way back, there were no twists and turns, and he soon arrived at the Elf Center. After entering, he didn't find Zhang Xiao, so he directly contacted the manager of the Elf Center through the front desk staff. After all, it was related to Team Rocket, and ordinary counter staff couldn't handle it. Coincidentally, the manager was there too, and the lady at the front desk brought Zhang Xingyun to the manager's office. Manager Zhao was also waiting for him. He was also very familiar with Zhang Xingyun. As the manager of the Changning City Elf Center, he knew some of the young geniuses. As soon as Zhang Xingyun came out, he greeted them enthusiastically. The person at the front desk told me that Zhang, you killed 2 members of the Rocket team. Show me their bodies and information. After a careful inspection, I will give the stamp of approval. Zhao King said that after the Rocket team attacked Changning a while ago, the government was extremely angry and launched a severe crackdown. For the registered members of the Rocket team, they were killed without mercy, and of course they could also be captured alive. Okay, these are their bodies, this is their identity certificate, this is the Rocket team's unique bank card, and the information in this mobile phone, you can check it carefully. Zhang Xingyun took the bodies of the 2 people out of the space, as well as their identity certificates, which were all supporting evidence. Please sit down for a while. I'll make a phone call. After taking a quick look, Manager Zhao dialed the number. Soon, 3 people in white clothes came to carry the bodies of the 2 people and the certificates away. Matters in this area should be handled by professionals. These 3 people are professionals in this area. Manager Zhao stayed in the office and chatted with Zhang Xingyun. About half an hour later, someone came to the office with a report and handed it to Manager Zhao. Manager Zhao looked at it for a while, confirmed that it was correct, and signed his name. Hahaha, classmate Zhang is very capable. He can actually take down 2 elite level rockets members. I also reported your matter. The reward will be credited in 1 or 2 days. Manager Zhao said very politely. Okay, I have something else to do, so I'll leave first. Please. After leaving the elf center, Zhang Xingyun rushed to Bosley again. He still had a lot of things to deal with. As for some technological things, such as bank cards, Zhang Xingyun naturally handed them in. After all, he couldn't get them, so he could only let the relevant personnel deal with them, and there would be a share of the profits. Some things that he could use, of course, didn't need to be dealt with, but those that he couldn't use, had to be dealt with. The strength of the elves was advancing by leaps and bounds, and Baby Dragon and Electric Beast were also going to evolve, which would cost a lot of money. Brotherly, I brought a lot of good things this time, and I have to deal with them here. Give me more discounts. After entering the door, Zhang Xingyun looked at Bosley, who was looking at the account book, and said, hahaha, that's for sure. If you have anything, take it out, and let me see. Can I let you suffer a loss? Zhang Xingyun immediately took out the things he had sorted out from the space backpack, and placed them on the open ground, along with a dozen elves. Bosley asked several shop assistants to work, and he and Zhang Xingyun drank tea on the side. I also want to buy a batch of resources, Dragon Essence Liquid, Fire Hard Stone. Do you have any of these? As you said, I only have half of them, but since you asked, I will go and find them for you. I believe there will be some. Thank you very much, brother. No, just call me if you have business. The things Zhang Xingyun bought were precious goods, and it was expected that Bosley only had half of them. Bosley asked to mobilize his connections to help him find them, which made Zhang Xingyun feel that Bosley was still very good, and it was worth his many visits here to trade. With Bosley's connections, it was still possible to get these resources. After all, he was in this business. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 264, Team Rocket's Meeting. The resources purchased by Zhang Xingyun, in terms of price and preciousness, can be compared to the resources used by ordinary Qua-seeking elves. Using resources at the price of Qua-seeking to cultivate elite and ordinary levels is a luxury. But Zhang Xingyun thinks this is worth it. Without the investment of these resources, how can the baby dragons grow more healthily? How can they fight across levels? What conditions are needed to cultivate elves? Zhang Xingyun has this condition, so he naturally cultivates in this way. At 7 o'clock in the evening, Zhang Xingyun walked out of Bosley's store. Bosley warmly saw him off and sent him to the door of the store before returning. Looking at the text messages on his mobile phone, Zhang Xingyun's mood became even better. The balance increased by 50 million. This is because the Elf Center has not approved it yet, and he bought a batch of resources from Bosley. Zhang Xingyun guessed that these two people would probably contribute about 80 million to his gains. Zhang Xingyun did not feel guilty about killing two members of the rocket team. They joined the rocket team, and they were not good birds. If it weren't for Zhang Xingyun's strong strength, he would be dead now. The two of them have contributed almost a small goal to me. If two brothers come to give me heads every day in the future, then it will be a small goal every day, 30 small goals a month, and 360 small goals a year. In this way, Zhang Xingyun fantasized for a while, then shook his head. Today was a pleasant surprise. It is unrealistic to expect to have one every day. If you are strong enough, go and capture Qiu Long. The reward is even higher. It seems to be hundreds of millions. The training of a high-level king is so valuable, but it is impossible. The risk of capturing is extremely high, although the benefits are also extremely high. Zhang Xingyun is not forced to do this. It is better for him to slowly develop in the wild and slowly increase his strength. As long as you have the strength, how much money do you need? The next time, of course, is to have a celebration banquet. You must order a luxurious one. As long as you are happy, you don't need the money for the meal. Wow, dad is dead. What should we do, mom? Don't cry. Let's talk about it when we get home. A woman with red eyes, pulling a little boy, walked quickly on the road. The woman was also carrying a blood-stained backpack, probably her husband's relic. Woo woo, don't cry. Dad. Looking at the mother and son going away, Zhang Xingyun was overwhelmed with emotions and didn't know what to say. He was happy because he gained a lot and came back safely. He had been smooth sailing in the wild with his supernatural powers and strength, but ordinary trainers might be different. Going hunting in the wild can indeed make a lot of money, but the risk is very high because you don't know what will happen. What kind of Pokémon will you encounter, or what kind of people will you encounter? Pokémon in the wild are certainly dangerous, but the harm of people with bad intentions is not low. The industry of hunting in the wild is a high risk and high return industry. For those with strong strength, it will naturally be smooth sailing, but for those with weak strength, it is a gamble with their lives. Some of them want to live a rich life for themselves and their families. Some want their children to have a better environment and a higher starting point, and some traveling to the wild like in the anime in the previous life is rare in reality. At least for these low-level trainers, this is very luxurious and nonsense. Those are played by rich people, and they don't have the capital. Some are realistic and cruel, but reality is like this. Why think about this so much? Let's go eat. After arriving at a big restaurant, they started to eat, moved the food to a private room, and ate heartily. Every night, these restaurants are very lively. After a day of intense hunting, the trainers naturally enjoy the time at night, and food is the best enjoyment. Every night, the restaurant business is particularly good, and the money earned is not small. So there are also many people who engage in these. Compared with the wild, these are definitely safer, and make more money. Why go to the wild? As for Pokémon, raising a few as pets can also be considered as trainers. Although they are amateurs, this does not affect it. Everyone has their own choices, regardless of right or wrong. With such a large population in China, there are many industrial chains derived from it, and there are many ways to make money. It's just that the elf industry is considered to be highly profitable, and coupled with some other factors, countless people have invested in it. While Zhang Xingyun was eating heartily, a base of the rockets was in an uproar. King Long, why did you do this? It caused us to lose so much in the secret base in South Vietnam province. In a high-tech conference room, a tall, muscular, fierce-looking, 2-meter tall man stood up and questioned King Long, who was wrapped in a black robe opposite him. In the conference room, there was also a handsome man with a faint smile on his face who looked very gentle, and a young woman with willow leaf curved eyebrows, skin as white as cream, a hot body, and a red cheongsam. In the middle of the screen, there was also a chair, and the person sitting on the chair was touching the head of a cat boss. With his back to the camera, only the outline of the figure could be seen. That's right, King Long, if you do this, our arrangement in Nanao province will be finished. What are you trying to do? At this time, the young woman spoke up. Her voice was very charming, and her pair of seductive eyes looked at King Long in the black robe. Suzaku, this is not your business. Why do you care about it? King Long's hoarse voice sounded, and he choked. Suzaku, isn't it that I care about you? Do you have to be like this? I will be sad. Don't give me that. Just do your own thing. This is between me and Zuanwu. TSK. The 4 saints of Team Rocket were in the meeting, and the figure on the screen in the middle was also the legendary leader of Team Rocket. What they were arguing about now was the attack on Changning No. 1 Middle School. Then King Long, just explain it to avoid trouble. A deep, rich, and magnetic voice came from the screen. It was the leader of Team Rocket who spoke. King Long and the other 4 also straightened their bodies and sat on the chairs. It's like this. We have a lot of spies in our base in South Vietnam province. Some of them are known, and some are unknown. It's also for our god-making plan, so we chose this to attract the government's attention. Our plan will also receive less attention. King Long explained lightly. Then you should discuss this with me. We can withdraw a lot of people, and don't have to lose so many. Zuanwu replied. He felt a little sad about losing so many people. These were all his men, and some were guys who had fought with him before. Chapter 265, Evolution of Electabuzz. I also asked several important ones to withdraw first. For the rest, I can only say that this is a necessary sacrifice. King Lang said lightly, without any guilt for selling out his teammates. If you had told me in advance, the losses could have been reduced. Is it that serious? Zuanwu still had some opinions and spoke up. You would have been in Nanyang country at that time, and it would have been too troublesome to go back and forth. The Chinese government would not wait for you. They would have discovered Chinese agents 7 kilometers around our god-making base. That's why I said this was a necessary sacrifice. At the same time, I also issued an order to let the rest of the members disperse to attract the government's attention, to reduce the attention of our god-making base. But, okay Zuanwu, King Lang's words make sense, and are not groundless. This is how it is. Suzaku, the leader of Team Rocket on the screen spoke. I'm here. Allocate some resources to Zuanwu. Yes. You have to work harder on those new Zuanwus. You have to ensure their combat effectiveness, and unify their thoughts. Yes. The current government has focused on training civilians, but it can only provide training to the top 5% of trainers. You have to do a good job. After all, we are also fighting for the future of mankind. Yes. X4 hearing this, even the white tiger who was eating melon carelessly on the side, stood up with a serious face and fanatical eyes, and responded with a yes. Hey boo, tomorrow is the time for you to evolve. You should adjust your condition to the best tonight. Hey boo, after finishing dinner, not long after returning home and sitting down, Electabuzz came to Electabuzz, and this scene happened. Electabuzz is eager to evolve, but the environment required for evolution needs to be arranged, so that the best effect can be achieved. Zhang Xingyun has prepared the evolution steps and resources for Electabuzz. This time, he doesn't need to go to the club to evolve, because there are no machines there. The machine that Electabuzz needed had been exchanged and placed in the system space. Electabuzz, come here, drink these 3 bottles of potion every 3 hours. After saying that, Zhang Xingyun took out a yellow stone of 1 square meter in size, with arcs of electricity flashing on it, dragged it with his ability, and placed it in front of Electabuzz. Just sit here, and feel the lightning energy in this stone more. The stone Zhang Xingyun took out was the electric ring stone, which was full of electric energy. The energy intensity presented each time was different, ranging from small sparks to large millions of volts, which was especially suitable for electric elves to feel and absorb it. The other treasures can only be used when Electabuzz is in good condition tomorrow, and they are useless now. Hey boo, Electabuzz took the electric ring stone, walked to an open place, put the electric ring stone down, and sat on it. He drank another bottle of yellow potion. Hey boo, Electabuzz felt something strange in his body, and his skeleton was crackling. Zhang Xingyun did not go to the bedroom that night, but sat cross-legged on the sofa, facing the electric beast. He also needed to check the status of the electric beast, so that he could make adjustments in time. In this way, a night passed, and the electric beast drank the 3 potions given by Zhang Xingyun, and there was no abnormality. In the training, there were 4 yellow machines with launch ports on them. Zhang Xingyun was loading thunderstones into the machines. The thunderstones installed were all high-level thunderstones. This kind of machine can extract the thunder energy in the thunderstones, disperse and combine them, and then launch them. When the electric beast evolves, it needs a lot of thunder power, so Zhang Xingyun exchanged these 4 machines specifically for the evolution of the electric beast. After systematic calculations, the 4 machines are the best, and the thunder energy they supply is just enough to meet the evolution, and there will be no shortage or surplus of energy. Electric beast, move the electric ring stone to the middle of the machine. Eat these first. Hey boo, electric beast quickly ate the things Zhang Xingyun gave it, and sat on the electric ring stone under the instruction. Zzzz, the whole body of electric beast was flashing with ox, and the state of electric beast also reached a critical value. Hey boo, okay, I know, I'm starting. Dap. Zhang Xingyun pressed the button of the machine, and the 4 machines made a roar. Whoosh, 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 the 4 machines shot out 4 yellow electric beams, shining on the body of electric beast. Hey boo electric beast felt a stream of energy filling its body, which was very refreshing, but this intensity of energy, it felt that it was not enough, and asked him to increase the power. Okay, I'll increase the power again. Whoosh, 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 a yellow beam, that was even more intense than before, shone away. After a while, Zhang Xingyun saw that the state of electric beast was almost there, and took out the power amplifier from the space. This was exchanged from the system at the cost of a lot of energy, so the quality is definitely beyond reproach. In reality, Zhang Xingyun also went shopping and saw some for sale, but the quality was still not high, and they were all ordinary items, which did not meet his expectations. In the end, it was better to exchange it in the system after spending energy. He used his ability to pass the power amplifier over, and with a click, it came into contact with the body of the electric beast. Hey boo, the electric beast roared, and a dazzling evolutionary light emerged from its body, and its entire body was wrapped in the light. Zhang Xingyun also took the opportunity to raise the gear of the machine, and the machine emitted more energy. In the light of evolution, the figure of the electric beast gradually changed, and a figure more than 2 meters tall gradually formed in the light. The intensity of absorbing the surrounding energy was also increasing. Seeing this scene, Zhang Xingyun adjusted the gear of the machine to the highest level. The data calculated by the system was correct, and the energy emitted just met the energy required for its evolution. Nido Hassan Kami Kami. The Pokémon were watching Electabuzz evolve and cheering for it. Hey boo, the light faded, and a Pokémon with a completely new look appeared in front of Zhang Xingyun. It was now called Electabuzz. Compared to Electabuzz is larger, has thick arms, and has 2 things like detonators on its back. It uses its 2 tails to hold down the opponent and attacks with a voltage of more than 20,000 volts. When the electricity is fully stored, blue-green sparks will burst out violently between the 2 horns. Not bad, not bad. Congratulations on your successful evolution, Electabuzz. Hey boo, Electabuzz made a gesture and absorbed as much free electric energy as possible into its body to prevent Stottle and the others from being hurt. Chapter 266 Electric Shock Monster. Name, Electric Monster, Male, Attribute, Electricity Characteristics, Enthusiasm Qualification, Light Blue Strength, Elite Initial Skills, Impact, Staring, Electric Shock, Discharge, Tile Splitting, Shadow Clone, Lightning Fist, Electric Ball, 100,000 volts, Down Kick, High Speed Star, Flame Fist, Explosive Fist. Electromagnetic Field, Iron Tail, Thunder, Crazy Volts, Heavy Collapse, Enhanced Fist, Infuriating Bomb. When it was still an electric monster, there was no choice but to let it evolve in the warehouse, and many things were not prepared. At that time, we were also poor and being hunted by blood bats, so the evolved electric beast had only a dark green qualification. Afterwards, after careful and reasonable cultivation, the qualification was raised to the cyan level. Now with the help of this evolution, the qualification has been raised to the blue level, and it is not disappointing Zhang Xingyun's investment. The value of the resources used in the evolution of the electric monster is very high. Hey boo, yeah, I know you are very strong now, but you still need to train properly, and don't get too cocky. Now that you have evolved, you can use combo skills. Hey boo, okay, say hello to everyone. Hey boo, nido huabi. Now the electric beast has reached the elite level, and there are already 5 elite combat forces on hand. Moreover, these electric beasts are different from ordinary elite level Pokémons. They can fight across levels. Now even if they encounter a Pokémon in the early stage of the Quasi-King in the wild, the 5 Pokémons can join forces to defeat it, such as the cunning Tengu last time. Electric Beast, let's try your evolved body, Nidoking, you come to practice with him. Seeing that the electric beast seemed a little cocky, Zhang Xingyun asked Nidoking to practice with it. Nido on the field, Nidoking and electric beast stood on each side, looking at each other. After Zhang Xingyun's start, electric beast took the initiative and launched an attack. Electric beast used itself as the center and released 3 lightning bolts, which spread out in a circle. Zzzz. Electric beast punched the ground, jumped up, and with lightning wrapped around his body, he bombarded Nidoking. Nidoking was not careless. He slapped the ground with his tail, condense the broken stones in his hands, and then put his hands together, like holding a huge shield, and held it horizontally in front of him. Bang! Electric Beast's foot kicked the earth shield in Nidoking's hand. The surface of the earth shield was covered with cracks, but it was not completely destroyed. Hey Nido! Electric Beast spun on the spot, turned into a cone, and stabbed it in. Facing the attack of the electric monster, Nidoking remained motionless, closing his arms to resist. Nidoking, you can fight back appropriately. Nido! After hearing Zhang Xingyun's words, Nidoking's eyes condensed, and then with a bang, the shield in his hand shattered, and the electric monster's foot kicked over. Nidoking used his cleverness to avoid the electric monster's move, and the electric monster was also close to Nidoking. Nidoking used a lightning fist and swung it over. This time it was considered a competition, and there was no need to use a powerful move. Hey boo! The iron tail of the electric monster was propped up in front of him, and with the help of the power of Nidoking's attack, he wanted to distance himself from Nidoking. Unexpectedly, Nidoking changed his fist into a claw, grabbed the iron tail of the electric monster, and pulled it over, almost sticking to his body. Hey boo! The electric monster did not give up struggling. His fists were shining, and he fought Nidoking in close combat. The tile-splitting and flaming fists were at hand, and the fists that Nidoking waved were all blocked. It seemed that in terms of close combat, it was not as good as its big brother Nidoking. This was under the premise that Nidoking gave into it. If Nidoking had used all its means, it would have lost its ability to fight long ago. It seemed that it had to continue to practice hard. The electric shock monster found an opportunity and this time pulled away and attacked Nidoking from a distance. Unexpectedly, Nidoking's long-range skills were also extremely powerful. After a few blows, it was beaten and couldn't raise its head. Its most proficient electric attack had no effect on Nidoking. It couldn't beat it in close combat, and it couldn't beat it in long-range battles. Boom boom boom! The battle between the electric shock monster and Nidoking made the training ground bumpy. Zhang Xingyun watched the performance of the two elves from the side. When he was satisfied, he called a halt. He asked Madame Huaji to come forward and treat the electric shock monster, and Nidoking and Shakaris recovered the field. How does it feel, Electric Beast? Hey boo, well, but after this battle, you should have gained something. You also saw that you are still a little restrained when facing the elves that restrain you, so the necessary training is still necessary. Hey boo, besides, facing Nidoking, you can fight like this, it's already good enough. After the ground was leveled, he cleaned up a few times and took the elves to the elf club. He opened a training room. It is better to do it in a professional place here. The ground at home is not very good. Fight for 5 minutes and level for half an hour. In the training room, he assigned training tasks to the elves and watched them train. He would also go over and give some pointers to the elves. Although the elves are also very smart, they still have shortcomings and need Zhang Xingyun's guidance. After seeing that there was no problem, Zhang Xingyun took the giant claw mantis and asked the electric beasts to train well here. If there was anything, they could contact him using the phone here. He had something to do. At 11 o'clock in the morning, Zhang Xingyun arrived at the Armed Forces Department of Changling City. After telling the guard his purpose and showing him his certificate, the guard let him pass. The Armed Forces Department is not as lively as the Elf Center. Generally, only people who need to do something will come here. And Zhang Xingyun's trip this time is for something. He came here to check the information of Qingshu Town, which is his hometown. Now Zhang Xingyun's strength can barely be regarded as a quasi-king, so he will not endure it anymore. It's time to take revenge. If the elves in his memory are not dead, he will not let any of them go. If he can't find them, he will use the same kind of elves to pay for his life. He came here to find the files about Qingshu Town and the memory crystal, especially the street where he was at that time, and the information about his home. Zhang Xingyun needs all the surveillance that should have been there. There have been elves of the king level in the secret realm of Qingshu Town, and several treasures have also appeared. One of them even caused a battle between kings in Changning, so there will be a lot of attention and more complete information. Chapter 267 Extracting Information. When Zhang Xingyun was handling the matter at the counter, the staff at the counter asked him to wait on the side. What Zhang Xingyun proposed was beyond his authority, so he had to ask his leader to talk to him. About 10 minutes after Zhang Xingyun's information was sent up, a middle-aged woman, a leader of the Armed Forces Department, came to handle his request. Mr. Zhang, you said you want a file for Qingshu Town. Zhang Haiao spoke as soon as he sat down after arriving at the office. Yes, I need a file and a memory crystal. If there is surveillance, I also want a copy. The location is Xingfu Community and Fulong Street. Zhang Xingyun made his request. He did not want the file of the entire Qingshu Town secret realm, but a designated location. Zhang Xingyun also learned about the Qingshu Town secret realm. It is a secret realm that is 800 kilometers from east to west and more than 400 kilometers from north to south. The place is still not small, but Zhang Xingyun doesn't care. He is ready for a protracted war. Mr. Zhang, with your qualifications, it is still no problem to apply for these, but the elves at the level of the kings there have been cleared, but there are still many elves at the level of quasi kings. You are still young, so why not go there in a while? Of course, I'm not stopping you, but giving you a suggestion. Zhang Haiao looked through Zhang Xingyun's information, hesitated, and advised. Thank you for your advice, but I will go there soon. Please send me the information quickly. Thank you. After all, that is my hometown, and my family also died in that disaster. Okay, I will submit the application now. Please wait. Okay. Zhang Haiao took out the computer, and after several operations, he recorded Zhang Xingyun's fingerprints, took a few photos, and quickly approved it. When Zhang Xingyun walked out of the armed forces, he had an extra USB flash drive in his hand, which contained the information he wanted. It must be said that the speed of the army is really fast. The secret realm of Qingshu Town is under the charge of the military, and these materials are also transferred from the military. With Zhang Xingyun's identity, there is naturally no problem, and it was quickly approved, but he paid a sum of 1000 merit points. This is also the convenience brought by his identity. The direct line trainer has some natural advantages in the review. And Zhang Xingyun is not only a direct line, but also has other identities, such as a breeder and a capable person. This is also the reason why Zhang Xingyun tried hard to take the exam. After passing the exam and getting the certificate, he is a talent, and talents are popular everywhere. I hope you are all alive. Elites should not die so easily. Zhang Xingyun recalled the scene of the day. He still remembered several elves. If the culprit is not found, it doesn't matter. Zhang Xingyun will not let go of any of the tribes near Qingshu Town. He will not be merciful to the elves that destroyed his family. Is he cruel? Maybe. When those elves attacked people, they were not very merciful. Zhang Xingyun is not a pedantic person. He repays kindness with kindness and revenges with hatred. After having lunch outside, he packed a large portion for the elves and put it in the space. Rushed back to the training room of the club. When they came back, the elves were training hard, which made Zhang Xingyun very pleased. After stopping them, he took out the packed food and asked them to train again after eating. While the elves were eating, Zhang Xingyun also told them his plan. Guys, let me tell you about the arrangement of the next meal. In the next 3 days, you will all train here. I will sometimes guide you and make some other preparations. Nido? Yes, I will do something big in 3 days, which is revenge. Zhang Xingyun emphasized the word revenge very much. The elves also heard the meaning of the words and asked to fight again and again. In their view, the hatred of their trainer is their hatred. The one who responded most actively was Pidgeot, because Pidgeot has similarities with Zhang Xingyun. Nido King, as Zhang Xingyun's initial elf, also roared a few times. Hey boo be kami. Okay, everyone, train hard in these 3 days, because we are going to annihilate our clan in this battle. After dinner, the elves trained more actively, and even the lazy Shakiras was training. Looking at the performance of the elves, Zhang Xingyun felt that he had not failed yet, as he had a group of companions like Nido King. The elves were not necessarily really conquered after being captured. Trainers will choose excellent elves, and elves will also choose excellent trainers. If the trainer is too bad, the elves will look down on the trainer and turn a deaf ear to the trainer's combat orders. Some will even attack the trainer. Zhang Xingyun still remembers that in the anime of his previous life, Zyoz's Charizard was also like this. It did not listen to orders and would attack Zyozzy. This still happens in reality. Unlike anime, Zhang was not affected by powerful skills such as 100,000 volts of jet flames, but people in reality are different. If there is no protection, 9 out of 10 will be GG. Even if there is energy feedback from the elves, which enhances the quality of the body, it can't withstand it. It's okay for small power, but it can't withstand the powerful one. Of course, the king and champion levels are another matter. At the level of the king and champion, the accumulated energy feedback has already made the physical quality reach a point. It may not be able to withstand the same level, but it is still possible to withstand the lower level. But at that level, there will be no situation where the elves don't listen to the instructions. The elves are training hard, and Zhang Xingyun is also at the computer next to him, looking at the information in the USB flash drive. The scene inside is exactly as Zhang Xingyun remembers. The invasion of the elves. That environment is doomsday. The car with black smoke blocked the whole street. Several agile elves jumped over the car and rushed towards the pedestrians. Under the panic of the pedestrians, killing and eating meat, the scene is very bloody. There are also trainers who come out to confront, but they are all some low-end trainers who are easily dealt with by several high-level elves. Cooler or came, accompanied by a blazing orange-yellow beam, sweeping across the area. Glass shattered, buildings collapsed, and more people were killed. Crying, cursing, and cries for help intertwined, accompanying this scene, just like the end of the world. After Kuroko appeared, several trainers in uniform went to resist. With elite level strength, they only blocked Kuroko, a quasi king, for a while, before being killed on the spot. This also aroused Kuroko's anger, and he fired several destructive death beams in a row, sweeping across the area and attacking indiscriminately. Chapter 268 Heading to Kingshu Town. Zhang Xingyun spent the whole afternoon looking at the computer, watching everything that happened in Kingshu Town. His fists were clenched red, and bloodshot eyes burst out. After watching for an afternoon, Zhang Xingyun roughly knew what to do, and sorted out these things. He mainly looked at the two places of Fulong Street and Xingfu Community, and remembered all the types of elves that attacked. After watching, Zhang Xingyun went outside to blow the wind for a while. After relieving his mood, he returned to the training room and gave instructions to the electric shock monster. Shoot out the energy in your fist while swinging it, like an electric ball. In this way, you can fight in close combat or attack from a distance. What Zhang Xingyun said was the effect of the electric shock monster's lightning fist. Hey boo, this is very fast. The power is a little weak, but if you increase the number of swings in 1 second, the number will increase, and the damage caused will also increase, and this can be improved through training, although the requirements are a bit difficult. What Zhang Xingyun said was a combination skill Thunder Fist, which also appeared in the TV show that the electric shock monster loved to watch. After watching it, he also got some inspiration and conceived it for the electric shock monster. Zhang Xingyun prepared more than one set of combination skills for the electric shock monster, but also several sets, all designed for the electric shock monster's former target, the Thunder King. When you swing the Thunder Fist, the electric shock monster, pay attention to the energy flow on your fist, and then swing it out. Hey boo, the electric shock monster waved its fist, and in front of it, there were fist-shaped energy bodies with yellow arcs flashing, hitting the machine, and displaying the value. First, keep the energy of your fist stable, then gradually increase the energy intensity, and then from near to far. In this way, when you are stronger, you can kill the enemy with one punch from a distance of 100 meters or even 1000 meters. Isn't it cool? Does it fit your style of the Thunder King? Hey boo. After listening to Zhang Xingyun's words, the electric shock monster swung more vigorously. Thinking of the electric shock monster in the TV series, it became more motivated. It doesn't matter whether it is handsome or not, the main thing is to be strong. Kami, you have it too, take your time. In the next few days, Zhang Xingyun also instructed the Kame Squirtle and others to train with me, and the prepared supplies were also ready, enough to use there for a while. This morning, after Zhang Xingyun packed up his things, he drove off on a motorcycle. Zhang Xingyun's hometown, Kingshu Town, is 80 kilometers northwest of Changling City. He drove the motorcycle out of the community and arrived at a place without air restrictions. He put away the motorcycle, released Pidgeot, turned over and sat on it, and let Pidgeot take him there faster. Changning City has an official road to Qingshu Town, and there are also special people who regularly clean up higher level elves. So flying along the official road, the flying elves encountered are not strong. When those flying elves saw the energy on Pidgeot, they avoided it from a distance. The elves in the wild also have brains, and they will not approach if they can't beat them. They didn't attack, and Zhang Xingyun didn't bother to pay attention. Now he just wanted to get to Qingshu Town, which was the best way. Pidgeot's speed was really fast. Zhang Xingyun, who was on his back, saw that there was still a distance of 20 kilometers to the destination. It was not long since the departure, about 10 minutes. He didn't try his best to fly, leaving some energy to pay attention to the surroundings. But when he got here, he encountered 2 elite level toucans and several spitfires. As soon as they saw Pidgeot, they pounced on him, with their beaks glowing, and their wings flapping, and several air blades attacked him, but these attacks didn't hit Pidgeot. After Qingshu Town was ruined, no one came to manage the roads here, and it was no longer like the official roads out of Changning. The concrete ground was covered with grass. Sitting on Pidgeot's back, he could see the ruins of Qingshu Town from afar. Pidgeot, speed up and get rid of them. The pair of toucans should have been out hunting. They happened to encounter Pidgeot. Relying on their numerical advantage, they swooped down. Zhang Xingyun didn't want to get entangled with them, so he asked Pidgeot to fly faster, to get rid of the pair of toucans. After hearing Zhang Xingyun's order, Pidgeot also flew at full speed, and ignored the toucans. He hated them very much, but since the trainer had spoken, he let it go. Pidgeot increased its speed, and flew towards Qingshu Town, but the 2 toucans behind it would not give up, and also increased their speed. Although they were not as fast as Pidgeot, they were also hanging behind him. If they stopped in Qingshu Town, the 2 toucans would also arrive. Okay, there is a road to heaven, but you don't take it. There is no door to hell, but you come by yourself, then I will fulfill your wish. Originally, I didn't pay attention to those stupid birds, but I didn't expect them to be so persistent. Now, not to mention Pidgeot, Zhang Xingyun also doesn't want to endure it. Pidgeot fights back. I'll let the shock beast come out to assist you. I'll wait for you below. Okay, shock beast come out, you cooperate with Pidgeot, and get rid of those 2 stupid birds for me. Hey boo humph, do you think I'm easy to bully? After a few teleports, he crossed a few hundred meters in the sky, and stood on the ground. The elves are improving, and his supernatural powers are also improving. Now the distance of teleportation can move up to more than 80 meters, and it can move continuously. Facing a large-scale attack, he is not afraid of being attacked. If this goes on, hundreds of meters, thousands of meters, and 2 kilometers are all possible. The shock beast on the back of Pidgeot was crackling with lightning, and it was gathering strength. A bolt of lightning shot out, and the 2 toucans flying behind hurriedly dodged, but the lightning would disperse and move. With 1.3, it crackled and moved like a whip, and with the speed of Pidgeot, a toucan was soon hit and fell down, already seriously injured. The electric beast also added an electric shock, and with a bang, accompanied by a scream, the fallen toucan was GG. Hey boo, after dealing with a toucan, the electric beast smiled at the other one a few times, and muttered a few words to Pidgeot, and Pidgeot nodded. Pidgeot increased its speed, and chased the toucan, just keeping a certain distance, while the electric beast was on Pidgeot's back. Noble its lightning fist. Punch after punch, one energy fist after another, smashed over, playing with the toucan, and also practicing skills. Hey, the electric beast threw so many punches, and a few of them still hit the toucan. It hurt, but it just wanted to run. Seeing that this pair of combinations could not beat it, it did not have the momentum to chase just now, and kept getting beaten. Hey boo, seeing the toucan flying with wounds all over its body, it was better to let Pidgeot take over. If it continued like this, they would both lose their way. Pidgeot took action, and killed the toucan in a few moves. He carried its body in his mouth, and flew back to Zhang Xingyun. Chapter 269, Revisiting the Old Place. Zhang Xingyun also killed all the flying Spearows. After cleaning up a few times, he returned to Pidgeot's back, and continued to fly towards Qingshu Town. These stupid birds are really brave, so he will fulfill their wish. Soon they arrived at the Xingfu community in Qingshu town. Looking at the scene in front of him, the hatred in Zhang Xingyun's eyes became more intense. The former home has become a charred ruin. In the information, Zhang Xingyun saw that after several elves broke in, an explosion occurred, and a fire broke out, and the former home became a ruin. The building was dilapidated, and only the charred walls inside stood in the wind, as if telling the ruthlessness of the disaster. Flowers and plants also grew on the waste, stubbornly surviving. Zhang Xingyun said nothing, standing there and looking at this former home. The electric shock beast and Pidgeot were guarding on the side. Then, he walked around in the ruins for a few times, found a place, and took out the offerings to worship. Let's go to the east to have a look. Behabu Pidgeot flew in the sky, the electric beast ran beside it, and Zhang Xingyun rode a motorcycle, not fast, driving slowly. He remembered that the circus bear and many other elves came from that direction. If he walked from this direction, he should meet a group of the same kind. Cuba, 2 circus bears and a baby bear sat on a fallen tree and ate the honey in their hands. There were several wounds on the 2 circus bears. For them with thick skin and flesh, this was insignificant, and it was not as fragrant as the honey in front of them. This was a pair of circus bears. The baby bear should be the child of the circus bears. The surroundings seemed to have been plowed, the ground was bumpy, and there were a few wisps of black smoke, and there were many corpses of giant bees lying. There were various ways of death, but they all had one characteristic: they were all killed by brutal means. Some had their double guns broken, some had no stomach, and some were broken into pieces, scattered on the tree and the ground. The air was filled with the smell of blood, but the bear cubs and the bear cubs near the beehive were enjoying the honey. This scene was very common. The bear cubs found the beehive of the giant bee and wanted to eat the honey. They clashed with the giant bee and a fight broke out. The result was naturally that the bear cubs won and sat outside the beehive to eat the honey. Puff puff. After the bear cubs finished eating the honey in their hands, they suddenly felt bored. Seeing the eggs piled up on one side, they waved their hands and hit them. They pierced several elf eggs in a row, and the juice flowed all over the floor. The 2 bear cubs did not stop them. They picked up an egg, cut off the tip of the egg, and drank the juice from the elf egg. The bear cubs also did the same. They picked up an elf egg and cut it. They cut several elf eggs in a row, and their hands were full of juice before they found a decent one. The bear cubs look cute, but living in the wild, they are destined not to be as cute as they look. This time, the spherical bear won by its strength and was tasting the spoils. If it lost, then the giant bee would have enjoyed the spoils. After all, the flesh and blood of the spherical bear was a rare delicacy for them. Zhang Xingyun watched coldly from the side the behavior of the spherical bear and the baby bear. Because he had seen a lot of them, there were also spherical bears in the Yangtze forest. Pokémon-like spherical bears are not very good tempered, and they are extremely aggressive. Their combat power is also off the charts. They can be said to be the tyrant of the wild forest. 1 elite late stage, 1 mid stage, and 1 ordinary early stage. No wonder they are so arrogant. Nidoking, you fight against the mid stage one, and the giant claws, your late stage one. Hey boo, when you have time, there are many Pokémon around here, not just this spherical bear. Hey boo, the giant claws and Nidoking Pokeballs on the belt also shook a few times to express their response. Then go ahead, Charmeleon, you go ahead, the baby bear. A few rays of light flashed by, and Mantis, Nidoking, and Charmeleon appeared on the scene, looking at the bear with cold eyes. As soon as they appeared on the scene, they started fighting. The male bear rushed over, but was stopped by Mantis with a bang, and the other one was also pulled away by Nidoking. Charmeleon ran, and sharpened his claws, killing the baby bear. Cuba bear roared, and slashed at Mantis with a numb hammer, but was dodged. After a few bullet punches from the side, bear became more violent and angry, and his swinging movements became more powerful. Most of them were dodged by Mantis, and those that could not be dodged were hard hit a few times. Mantis was still not as strong as the crazy bear in terms of strength, and was knocked back a few steps. Many Mantis figures appeared on the field, attacking bear together. Charmeleon's strength is also good. It has been under the ordinary mid-term Charmeleon for so long, and has not been defeated. It can fight back from time to time, but it is also at a disadvantage. With sufficient resources, its physical fitness will not lose to those trained by trainers, and its fighting style is a bit straightforward. Charmeleon's fighting style is varied, and most of the attacks it hits can hit it. Cuckoo the baby bear is asking for help from its parents, and the two symbols are a little anxious, and the strength of their hands is a little greater. Nidoking and Mantis are not ordinary Pokémons. No matter how the symbols struggle, they can't break free. Nidoking, Mantis, you two stop it. Charmeleon kills it in front of it. Zhang Xingyun in the back gave an order, and he also wanted to let the two symbols taste what he felt at that time. Although I don't know what the relationship between the Quasi-King symbols and these two symbols is, it has no effect. As long as it is the bear in this range, I believe these two bears will also be involved. Judging from their brutal performance, many lives should have died in their hands. Those two ancient dragonflies of Pidgeot, Pi and the mental power, two ancient dragonflies approached and seemed to intervene. Pidgeot flew to intercept. Electric Beast, Squirtle, you two go up there. Zhang Xingyun pointed in a direction, and asked Electric Beast and Squirtle to go up. Hey boo Squirtle! Electric Beast and Squirtle rushed over, and the battle wave sounded. Zhang Xingyun stood on the tree trunk, and watched the battle between Nidoking and others on the field quietly. There were still many elves around this one, probably wanting to be the fisherman. If they appeared at the end, it would be fine. But if they wanted to get involved in the battle between Nidoking and others, don't blame him for being rude. Soon Pidgeot flew over, with blood on his claws and beak, and he was slightly injured. Thank you for your hard work. You should take a rest. You won't be able to appear for the time being. Pi Madam Huaji was healing Pidgeot. There was also a lot of noise coming from the electric beasts. There was an early elite and 7 or 8 ordinary elves. It should be easy to deal with them. Chapter 270 Killing the Circle Bear. Nidoking and Kuzoku got into a close fight. Both were powerful Pokémons, and their attacks were also very fierce. In terms of close combat, Nidoking still had the advantage. His own strength plus strong defensive ability gave him the upper hand. Bang! The earth shield in Nidoking's hand was broken by Kuzoku's arm hammer. Taking advantage of this gap, Nidoking's 2 flaming fists also hit Kuzoku, throwing him up. Kuzoku staggered, and with Nidoking's close collision, he fell to the ground, splashing dust. Nidoking followed up with a mountain pressure, and with a bang, a big pit appeared where Kuzoku was originally, and this move was avoided by it. Nidoking swept his tail and hit Kuzoku head on, who was short of stamina due to his hasty avoidance. The combo skill Cold Thorn was activated. The circle bear only had time to protect its vital parts. The places where it resisted were all covered with a thin layer of ice, and its skin and flesh were bruised. Nidoking and Circle Bear used the Destruction Death Ray at the same time. After the two extremely powerful Destruction Death Rays faced each other, they were in a stalemate. Buzz 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 at the junction. There were also some explosions in the air. The Destruction Death Ray is also the old move of the Circle Bear clan. Most Circle Bears can use it. It is also because of this move that the Circle Bear has the name of the Forest Bully. With its hot temper, it will use a Destruction Death Ray from time to time, so its proficiency in this move is also very high. The life orb on Nidoking's body flickered with a halo. The power of Nidoking's Destruction Death Ray increased with the blessing of the life orb, and slowly pushed towards Circle. Cuba also increased his strength, but the effect was not great. Nidoking's Destructive Death Ray was still slowly advancing. Cuba's pupils shrank, because the Destructive Death Ray was almost in front of him. Boom! Cuba! A loud explosion, mixed with Cuba's screams, was heard clearly by all the elves present. The smoke and dust dissipated, and Cuba had already fallen to the ground, breathing out more than breathing in. If he was ignored, death would only be a matter of time, as his injuries were too severe. Cuba, seeing his wife lying in front of him, Cuba, who was fighting with Giant Mantis, also went crazy, and was determined to go, even if it meant exchanging injuries for injuries. I used to be like you. All I could do was moan in vain. But will you let my relatives and friends go? Will you let me go? If I wasn't lucky, I would have died long ago. Although you are not the Circle Bear of that time, it doesn't matter. As long as you are the Circle Bear, it's fine. Charmeleon will kill it. Aoku the baby bear was also killed by Charmeleon on the spot. Seeing Charmeleon's skillful killing, Zhang Xingyun was very satisfied. If the elves want to become stronger, they must get blood on their hands. Charmeleon did a good job in this regard, without any ideological work. Cuba the Circle Bear became even more furious, but it was useless. After Nidoking finished off the female Circle Bear, he also rushed over. The Circle Bear couldn't even beat the giant claw mantis, let alone Nidoking now. After a few puffs, the Circle Bear also lay on the ground, reaching its limit. Kill. Puff. After the Circular Bear twitched a few times, the pupils lost their spirit and died. Who told you to be a Circular Bear? The main force that destroyed my hometown was also the Circular Bear. Next, it's the Crossbit, Rattata and the others. Oh, and Onyx, I won't let any of them go. Zhang Xingyun stared straight into the distance and muttered to himself. Because he saw a few Zubats flying by. Zubats usually live in groups, which means there is a group of Crossbits there. Electric Squirtle and Squirtle were killed on the spot. An elite Infernape, 3 monkey monsters, and 4 Rattata were all killed on the spot. The bloody scene also let the surrounding elves know that Zhang Xingyun is not easy to mess with, and they all retreated. Everyone, kill Arbok, Rattata, and Beedrill on the spot, and ignore the others. Hassan Nido. After hearing this, the giant claw mantis and the others started to fight. Zhang Xingyun decided to hunt down the elves that attacked in his memory and data in these 7 days. As long as they are of the same category, Zhang Xingyun will not let them go. Some of this is what Zhang Xingyun can do now, as revenge for his parents. Even if he is called brutal by those kind-hearted people, he doesn't care. People who have not experienced the advent of elves can't understand that kind of hatred at all. Why has Zhang Xingyun worked so hard since the disaster? It's for this revenge. If he doesn't take revenge, his thoughts will not be clear, so a batch of elves here must die to relieve his hatred. When the emperor is angry, millions of corpses lie on the ground. When the common people are angry, blood splashes 5 steps. Killing these elves is Zhang Xingyun's anger. As long as he doesn't meet them in these 7 days, he will kill them on the spot. The kings have been cleared, and he is not afraid of the elves of the Quasi Kings. After fighting for 3 hours in a row, Zhang Xingyun saw that the giant mantis was very tired, so he stopped and found a place to rest. This revenge was also a training exercise. A large number of elite and ordinary elves were killed. Nidoking and his men already looked fierce and ferocious. Thank you for your hard work. We will take a 2-hour break. We will have a rest now. The next period will be tough battles. We have never experienced any tough battles before. This will also be a baptism for us. There will be more battles than you can imagine. You will face all kinds of environments. Some will be easy and relaxed, while others will be very difficult and arduous. Do you have confidence? Nido hey boo. Okay, Madam Huaji will help you heal your wounds. I will apply medicine to you. Hua with the medicine and Madam Huaji's healing skills, the elves recovered very quickly. This is why it is important to have a medical elf in the team. You can restore your combat power in a very short time. Teacher Zhao Mingshang emphasized this many times when we were in school. In terms of food, it is also very rich. Energy cubes are enough and spiritual liquid is enough. The spiritual liquid was exchanged by Zhang Xingyun from the system. It was a liquid that was very helpful to the elves. It could neutralize the energy of the food eaten by the elves, and it could also strengthen the body. In short, it had many uses. Time passed in a flash. After resting, Zhang Xingyun led the elves on a journey of revenge again. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 271 Fishing for Oxsnake. After resting, he continued to patrol the surroundings and killed a few elves here and there. Krakshakaras threw a piece of fire-hard stone into his mouth and began to chew it. Zhang Xingyun and the elves came to a rocky area to see if they could encounter elves like Onyx, and then to find some fresh ores. This place also descended with the arrival of the secret realm. According to the information, this area once had a Quasi-King level Rodden, and the food of the Rodden family is mainly ores, especially energy-rich ores. Of course, there are also elves like Onyx, who mainly feed on ores. Onyx, its contribution was not small at the beginning. In the memory of Onyx, with a slap of its iron tail, buildings were broken into pieces, and waste flew everywhere. Zhang Xingyun touched a place on his face. The scar had been eliminated under the nourishment of the supernatural power, but the pain in the memory would not. When they were escaping, a building just collapsed on the road, so they had to avoid it, and take a detour, which wasted a lot of time. Only then did Zhang Xingyun's father Zhang Wanglin sacrifice himself to buy him time. Zhang Xingyun was thinking, if it weren't for Onyx's contribution, would there be another result? Shakarus, baby dragon, Charmeleon, go ahead and make a bigger noise. Shakarus and the others rushed over and fought with the Pokémon that were spying on them. Now they are very much like flathead brothers, who will fight whoever they meet, and of course they also pay attention to safety issues. Anyway, the Pokémon here have more or less invaded Qingshu town, so there is no psychological burden to kill them. There must be some that have not attacked Qingshu town, but is this important? In Zhang Xingyun's opinion, this is not important at all. Will the Pokémon who descend on the secret realm selectively attack because of whether they are trainers or not? No. It's just a matter of strength, which is why Zhang Xingyun came here when the comprehensive strength of the Pokémons has been improved to this level. It was also for many reasons that Zhang Xingyun chose to retaliate selectively. These 7 days have passed, and they have passed. It can be regarded as an end. Hey, southeast, there is a big rock snake below. Nidoking, come and greet it with an earthquake first. According to the feedback from the mental power, there is a big rock snake lurking underground 50 meters southeast. Nido several ground-based energies spread over, and with a few loud rumbling noises, the big rock snake rushed out with a bang. With a swish, Nidoking appeared on the head of the big rock snake, and a freezing punch hit the head. With a bang, the big rock snake fell to the ground. Nidoking's figure flashed again, and appeared on the ground. When he stepped on the ground, the earth force that was blasted out hit the big rock snake, making it lie on the ground and wailing. It also had no ability to escape, and could only wail. Nidoking, wait a moment, let it howl. It is probably calling for its companions. Nidoking also stopped attacking, and looked at the big rock snake quietly. While howling, Onyx also formed a circle around itself, trying to protect itself as much as possible. The end of its tail hit the ground in a specific way, as if to convey a message. This force is not enough. Nidoking, help it, use more force. Seeing that there was no movement, after summoning for more than 20 seconds, Zhang Xingyun asked Nidoking to help. If there was no call within 5 minutes, then Onyx would be dead. This time Zhang Xingyun prepared several space backpacks with large storage, so he was not afraid of not being able to load. Roar bang bang. Nidoking's help was still effective, and Onyx's wailing became a little louder. 2 minutes later, Zhang Xingyun felt 2 breaths approaching, and they were Onyx. Maybe it has not found a way to evolve, so it has not evolved until now. I encountered Steelix before, which means that Onyx in the wild can also evolve into Steelix on its own. Roar. Onyx, who was being beaten by Nidoking, roared continuously, conveying information. There were only 3 Pokémon on the field, including Shakarus, Nidoking, and Lady Huaji. The other Pokémon stayed in the Pokéballs. This made Onyx think that there were only 2 elite fighters. Roar. A very strong Onyx rushed up from the ground and pounced on Zhang Xingyun. Compared with ordinary Onyx, the lower body of this Onyx was a little different and seemed more solid. If the whole body could be tempered, it could evolve into Steelix. Another Onyx pounced on Zhang Xingyun and faced Lady Huaji. Do it. In an instant, Pokémon such as Pidgeot and Claws came out, and together with Nidoking, they surrounded the 3 Onyx with 5-3. Roar. Onyx roared repeatedly, with some panic in his voice. He immediately drilled into the ground and wanted to escape from here. Don't even think about leaving if you're here. Nido. With a bang, he returned to the ground. Roar. Do you think I'm afraid? As he spoke, the figure of the giant claw mantis flashed and appeared behind Onyx, and chopped it with an alloy claw. Roar. Feeling the agreement behind him, he turned his head, and was about to fight back, but the electric shock monster hit him. Bang bang bang. After the giant claw mantis and the electric shock monster joined forces to attack a few times, the strong Onyx was killed on the spot. Facing a stronger and more numerous monster, even the counterattack seemed powerless. Vegeta and Lady Huaji dealt with the other one and killed the opponent in about the same time. Nidoking was watching from the side. It had already killed the half-crippled Onyx and watched from the side and also picked up a few yellow birds who came to join in the fun. After the battle, Zhang Xingyun dealt with Onyx's body. Pokémon like Onyx are different from ordinary Pokémon. Its flesh and blood are mostly stone, which is also a stone containing life energy. There are also several parts of the body that are rich in energy, which are their essence, just suitable for Shakaras to eat. It is very common for elves to eat elves. As a breeder, Zhang Xingyun naturally knows where the essence is and how to deal with it. He quickly and neatly cleaned up the bodies of the 3 Onyxes and waited there for more than 20 minutes, but no new Onyxes was seen. Maybe these 2 were nearby and just rushed over. He drilled into the hole that the Onyx had opened when it came and explored along the hole. A passage opened by an Onyx may be a random path, but the path where 2 or 3 Onyxes move has a certain probability of discovering something. For example, their tribe gathering place. Chapter 272 Dispersion. Walking along the dim cave, he had been walking for a while, but he didn't encounter other elves. The smell of soil and dampness in the cave was not very pleasant. Zhang Xingyun walked briskly in this dark environment. Here, his supernatural power could act as eyes, even better than eyes. The scanning of supernatural power was like a radar, even better than radar, but the distance was a little shorter. Now Zhang Xingyun's mental power can be projected to a distance of about 100 meters. Of course, the closer you observe, the clearer it will be, and the farther it will be, the blurrier it will be. This function reminded him of the spiritual consciousness in the immortal cultivation novels of his previous life, but it was not so exaggerated. There is something unusual. Be quiet. Hey Buhasan, a ball of energy emanated from Zhang Xingyun's body, wrapping himself, the giant claw mantis, and the electric shock monster in it, like a piece of cloth. This is another function of Zhang Xingyun's ability. This can cover up the breath and make it difficult for people from the outside to find it. At least without the level of qua-seeking, it cannot be found. Considering some reasons, he only brought Electabuzz and Mantis with him. The other Pokémon stayed in the Pokéball to conserve their energy. Boom boom boom, it was like the sound of heavy machinery plowing the land, moving with a rumble, and the speed was not slow. It's Steelix. It's also in this direction. You can follow it. The source of the noise was a Steelix passing by, and the direction of movement was the same as the direction of the cave Zhang Xingyun was walking in. After temporarily collecting the 2 Pokémon in, he followed it with a few instant teleports. Intuitively, Zhang Xingyun felt that it was right to follow it. Perhaps it was their nest. Boom boom boom, Steelix led the way in front, and he followed behind, and Steelix didn't know that there was another person following behind, a Avenger. Roar roar roar, Steelix also roared a few times, and came to a hollowed out open area with many fluorescent stones. There were many rock snakes gathered here, including 5 Steelixes, and with the one following, there were 6. The energy fluctuations on one of them were close to the qua-seeking level. Roar, several rock snakes also went to the side and rested. Some of them roared continuously, as if they were communicating. Drip drip drip, in this empty space, there was a piece of emerald green stone that looked like stalactite. It was like an inverted cone, dripping with turbid liquid. There was also something like a small pool under the stone cone, storing the liquid that fell down, but there was not much in the small pool. The liquid exuded a fragrance and contained rich energy. No wonder a group of rock snakes and 6 steel snakes gathered here. It turns out that there are stardust ore and earth spirit milk here. In a corner, Zhang Xingyun released his mental power to explore the surroundings, planning in his mind how to capture these elves and seize these treasures. There is another passage, and it leads to the ground. Zhang Xingyun's ghostly figure explored this extremely empty place and found a different passage because he felt that this passage was not very humid. After exploring, he found that it led to the ground, and there were several dried blood stains in the passage. It's interesting that this group of big rock snakes also know about traps. It's rare. At this moment, there was a rustling sound in the passage. Several stone balls and mantle rocks came carefully, and the big rock snakes hid aside at once, not moving. The environment here also provided them with a cover. Relying on the sense, at first glance, I saw the earth spirit milk dripping in the middle. This earth spirit milk is also a rare treasure of heaven and earth. Especially for rock-type elves, it has some fatal temptation. Several mantle rocks observed around, and let a few stone balls go up first. After drinking a little, they found that nothing happened, and couldn't resist the temptation, and pounced on the earth spirit milk in the middle. Boom, several steelixes in the dark appeared, and after a few encounters, they took care of these onyxes. The stone balls that had just drunk the earth spirit milk were dealt with by the most powerful steelix, which was equivalent to not wasting them. 6 elite steelixes, and 7 elite rock snakes. If you add the 3 before, that's 16 elite combat forces, which is not a small force in the wild. Zhang Xingyun also found out the combat power of this tribe. If the most powerful steelix was advanced, it would be about the same strength as the tribe of the cunning Tengu. As for the ordinary level, Zhang Xingyun didn't care much. It's best to lure them outside. It's a bit difficult to use here. After thinking about it, he came up with a plan, and then after searching in the system for a few times, he exchanged a bottle of red powder for Pokémons like Steelix. Increase the dosage. After a few fiddles, the red powder was prepared. Then, his figure flashed a few times, and he scattered the powder on the or they wanted to eat, and also scattered it in the environment. These powders will make them agitated, especially Pokémons with bad tempers. Raw. Half an hour later, 2 steelixes and 4 onyxes were a little manic. After roaring a few times, they left here. The companions next to them did not react. Only a few were still the same as before, and they did not find any irritable appearance. It seems that these 4 are the determined guys in this group, and the powder medicine is not very useful. The solution is either to slap the ground or to cause trouble for other Pokémons. The opportunity has come. These onyxes and steelixes went away in groups of 3 or 2, and Zhang Xingyun followed behind. Soon, they came to the ground. This time, there were 9 of them following. 2 were mid-elite steelix, 1 was mid-elite onyx, and 3 were early elite onyx. The other 3 were ordinary level onyx. In terms of qualifications, onyx was actually of higher caliber. Roar. As soon as they emerged from the ground, onyx roared, announcing their arrival. Nice to meet you. After that, the figures of the electric beasts appeared on the field. Shaki Nido Shakarus and Nidoking joined forces to reinforce the ground a few times, and a rustling sandstorm began to fly. The giant claws mantis and others also came to the side of the steel snake after the instant movement performed by Zhang Xingyun. Bang 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 roar. No matter how much you struggle, it's useless. Prepare to die. Chapter 273 Frontal Team Battle. As soon as Nidoking got close, he pressed Onyx's head and smashed it to the ground with a bang. Onyx didn't stand up completely, but it was still 5 meters tall. This move made its head buzz. After adding the freezing beam and freezing a part of it, he smashed it with a freezing fist. The crackling sound was like the sound of broken glass, mixed with Onyx's wailing. Another cold thorn hit the target, and this elite early Onyx was killed by Nidoking. This process took no more than a minute. Nidoking, who was possessed by spirits, completed a kill, which shows Nidoking's current strength. After that, he teamed up with the electric shock monster to deal with Steelix. Steelix was relatively difficult to deal with, but the difficulty was limited. This time, everyone was on the field, including Zhang Xingyun, just to deal with this group of Onyx in the shortest time, and then deal with the others, and finally the stronger Steelixes. Even if they were fighting underground, they were not afraid. Boom 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 boom. Soon, the place was quiet. Their bodies were lying on the field. It was obvious that Zhang Xingyun and the elves had completed the kill. Madam Huaji, heal them quickly. After shouting, he also prepared medicine for Baby Dragon and others. When the treatment was almost done, he took it back into the Pokeball. They would not be needed in the next battle. The battle could be ended in such a short time, but it also paid a little price. The elite Pokemon's counterattack before death was also powerful. After giving Nidoking the medicine, while Madame Huaji was treating him, Zhang Xingyun also dealt with the bodies of Onyx and others on the ground. Let's go. Take this opportunity to see if we can clean up some more. After dealing with the bodies of Onyx, the electric beasts and others also recovered almost completely. After leaving the giant claw mantis, they returned to the original cave. Those angry Onyxes should not return there so quickly. If we go now, we can still meet and kill them. Soon, after moving along the cave and coming to the ground, they encountered another group of Onyx, including a Steelix, which was not much different from the previous one. Looking at the surrounding environment, it was clear that this group of Onyx had vented successfully. There were trees broken in half, flowers and plants piled up in disorder, and the remains of several elves with incomplete bodies lying there. These few were unlucky. They met this group of Onyx and died here, without even a complete body. Everyone, go ahead and make a quick decision. The giant claws mantis quickly appeared and rushed over. After a few noises, it was over. They successfully killed these Onyx. There were not as many elite combat forces as the previous group, so it was also easy to kill them. After cleaning up, they rushed into the cave again and continued to follow the passage. They left behind a mess, many bloodstains, and some corpses, some of other elves and some of Onyx. Maybe it will be cheaper for some lucky elves passing by. In this way, many combat forces were killed one after another, but some of them returned to the tribe. Zhang Xingyun calculated that with the current strength, it was enough to deal with them. Even if it was a hard fight, there was an 80% to 90% chance of winning. After waiting for the tribe members to come back, the big steel snake also found something wrong. One or two people could not attract its attention, but this was too much. Boomerang sounded in the big steel snake in an instant. It was Nidoking and Mantis that attacked. The tribe members of the big steel snake reacted quickly and surrounded Mantis and Nidoking on the field. After the sneak attack, Nidoking and Mantis also disappeared from the original place and appeared on the other side to attack other big steel snakes. The strong big steel snake should be the leader of this tribe. After the sneak attack of Nidoking and Mantis, it was still able to move. Its defense is still quite high. The Steelix leader roared, basically reminding his tribe members that the enemy was coming and that they should unite to fight. A Steelix screamed fiercely. In the few seconds, the Steelix was severely injured by Nidoking and Mantis. Finally, under the attack of Nidoking's water wave, it lost its ability to fight and fell to the ground. The Steelix leader was also angry. He was attacked at home, and his tribe members were attacked on the spot. He immediately sprayed a dragon breath. He fought against Nidoking's freezing ray for a while, and slowly pushed towards Nidoking. Hasn't seeing that Nidoking was somewhat defeated, Mantis blocked the skill, and used a destructive death ray to greet him. The other Onyx and Steelix on the field all used their moves, and smashed towards them. Guys, prepare for a team fight. Electabuzz, you guys come out and help too. The environment here is relatively small, so it's safe to rest. Follow the 2-on-2 combat method we trained, Geo. Seeing Onyx attacking Nidoking, Zhang Xingyun also released the rest of the Pokémon, letting them fight in pairs with the old leading the new. He would scout from behind and attack whenever the situation dictated. Vegeta couldn't use his full power in this environment, so he fought alone. Shakiras and Squirtle were in one group, while Baby Dragon and Lady Flower Clean were in one group. Charmeleon was led by Electabuzz, and they attacked together with Nidoking. Boom. After the battle started, the soil here began to shake a little, and sand fell from time to time. The battle was also in full swing, with you coming and going, and it was very lively. The injured Steelix leader, with red eyes, led 2 Steelixes, and joined forces with Mantis and Nidoking to fight. Many pieces of the surrounding ore were also broken, but this is not important. What is important is to defeat them. The elite combat power of Onyx is only 2 or 3 more. After fighting for a while, the balance of victory is also tilting towards Zhang Xingyun. The only loser is a Steelix leader, who is very strong. He drags his injured body in 2 elite mid-stage Steelixes to suppress the giant claw Mantis and Nidoking. Unfortunately, this is not a one-on-one fight. With the successive victories of the electric beasts, it is only a matter of time before the electric beasts join the battlefield after their victory. The Steelix leader also knew that something was wrong and roared several times, basically telling the tribesmen to run first if they could. Let's see where you can run to. Zhang Xingyun, who was standing aside, looked at several escaped Onyxes with cold eyes, including an elite Steelix. Madam Huaji, you two follow me. Huabi chapter 274. The group battle ends. Even if Madam Huaji escaped from the battlefield, it would not affect the battlefield over there, so Madam Huaji and the other 2 were called. Then the figure flashed a few times, chased over, and started fighting in another place. Raw the Steelix found that it could not move, and after struggling for a few times, it returned to normal. Then, it was hit by Madame Huaji's seduction. The willpower of this Steelix was still good, and it reacted in 1 or 2 seconds. But it was still entangled by Madame Huaji. Among the other rock snakes, only one was elite, and the others were just ordinary, and the ones who escaped from this team were all injured. Zhang Xingyun took out a pill, threw it out of his mouth, and burst out with all his strength, bringing baby dragon, that was just to let it learn more. Including the elite rock snake, they were all held back. After a while, Madame Huaji solved the opponent, returned to Zhang Xingyun, and then dealt with the rest of the rock snakes. Zhang Xingyun had no time to clean up, and after leaving a few marks here, he returned to the original battlefield. As soon as he appeared, he saw 2 destructive death lights covering the Steelix. Raw bang, the Steelix lay down again, and it seemed that it had reached its limit. Raw the Steelix saw Zhang Xingyun and roared a few times. If you want to blame someone, blame the rock snake. Who told you that you are of the same species? You are innocent, but I'm your neighbor, and my family is not innocent. It seemed that he was talking to the Steelix, and it seemed that he was talking to himself. After he finished speaking, after a few gestures, the giant claw mantis ended the life of the Steelix. After a few pulls, this tribe took it down and killed most of them. Hassan Nido, thank you for your hard work. Next, deal with these corpses and sort out these harvests. Shaji Kami Madame Huaji, come here first. The more seriously injured ones were still a few small ones. Although they were taken care of by the electric shock monsters, they still suffered some injuries. Charmeleon was the most seriously injured among the little ones, but it looked at Zhang Xingyun quietly without saying a word. Charmeleon, you are also great. Come over and heal your wounds. Ao after receiving Zhang Xingyun's affirmation, Charmeleon happily howled a few times, walked over, and stood side by side with Shakiras and the others, to receive treatment from Madame Huaji. While Madame Huaji was treating them, Zhang Xingyun also applied medicine to Nidoking and Giant Claw Mantis, so that with Madame Huaji's healing skills, their injuries would heal faster. Shaki the little ones were quickly treated and regained their vitality. Shakiras seemed to have sensed something, and shouted Shaki to Zhang Xingyun. I know, don't worry, Shakiras, Madame Huaji, please treat Nidoking, and the others again. Shakiras, you guys come with me. Madame Huaji went to treat Nidoking and the others, and Shakiras was taken to the buried mound by him. What is buried here is the earth element spirit milk. It is now buried in the soil, but this has no effect on the Shakilas. Eating soil is also the habit of the Shakilas tribe. Come and dig here. There should be a piece of earth element spirit crystal underneath, and some earth element spirit milk mixed in the soil. Russell, after listening to it, the little ones started to work. Shakilas worked the hardest, because it felt that the things underneath were of great benefit to it. Soon, a big pit was dug out, and the earth element spirit crystal, that would drip the earth element spirit milk, also appeared in the pit. Shaki looking at the earth element spirit crystal, Shakilas was a little greedy, but before Zhang Xingyun spoke, it looked at it eagerly. These earth element spirit milk mixed in the soil belong to you, and I will keep this earth element spirit crystal, and make delicious food for you later. This piece of earth element spirit crystal is about 1 meter high and looks like a cone. The surface emits a soft glimmer, like a crystal. This can use the energy of the mineral veins and soil, to condense earth element spirit milk, which is a rare treasure of heaven and earth. Earth element spirit milk is of great benefit to elves and even some special humans. For elves, especially ground and rock elves, it has the best effect. Of course, after being prepared by breeders, the effect is even better. Shaki, after hearing this, Shakiras picked up the earth element spirit milk mixed in the soil. For their species, eating soil is normal. After a while, a small pit was dug out, and the area was almost the same as the original small pool. A lot of earth element spirit milk had dripped from the small pool, seeping into the soil and stored. Shakiras ate very happily. It tasted very good. It also took out some, and let its companions taste it, but it was a pity that they didn't want it. Have you finished eating? Come and help dig, or after you finish eating. There are quite a few stardust stones here. It should be enough for you to eat for several months. Shakalus ran over excitedly again to help collect ore. He picked up a piece of ore and started eating. It was very good, very much to his taste, and contained a lot of energy. A tribe of large steel snakes can be cultivated here, so there must be a lot of resources. Even if they ate a lot, what was left was a huge sum. All of these fell into Zhang Xingyun's pocket and became his. Killing people, arson, and gold belts. Doing this kind of thing is considered a job of confiscating property, and the income is high. The risk is a bit high, but the income is extremely high. Pack up and spend the night here tonight. It was getting late now, and he was too lazy to look for a place to spend the night. He might as well pack up here and spend the night here. It's time to eat. It's time to eat. After taking out the lighting tools from the backpack, he took out a bunch of food and distributed it to the elves. They were tired after a day today and were hungry, so they ate up like a whirlwind. Zhang Xingyun chewed the compressed biscuits and looked at the light source quietly, not knowing what he was thinking. Tonight, the electric shock beast will be on guard first, followed by the giant claw mantis, Nidoking, and Lady Huaji, about 2 hours each. Considering that they are underground, there is no arrangement for Pidgeot to keep watch, and the 4 little ones are not going to be on guard. With his mental power on guard all around, there won't be any big problems. Today, he killed the Ursine, and the Onyx and the others, and he breathed a sigh of relief. It made him feel much better. In the next few days, he will continue to look for the elves and the information and memory, hoping to encounter the culprit, so that he will feel pleasure when killing it. It doesn't matter if he can't meet him, that's their tribe's business. Chapter 275, The Exterminated Tribe. Zhang Xingyun sat cross-legged on a mat, with the baby dragons lying beside him, sleeping around him. After taking a few glances, he closed his eyes and fell into a state of cultivation, with his mental power radiating outward, scanning the surroundings. Aozizzy squeak. The forest at night was very lively, with constant calls everywhere, the joy of successful hunting, and the screams of being killed, filling this dark forest, adding a bit of horror to the night. Time passed quickly, and a night passed. The sun rose from the east, and when the morning sunlight shone into the forest, it announced the arrival of a new day. It was also about the same time that Zhang Xingyun opened his eyes. He had formed a biological clock, and he would wake up at this time every day. Crackling, he moved his body a few times, took out some water and washing things, walked to a corner, and washed up. The giant mantis also woke up, and after a few tidying up, they sat together to eat breakfast. Eat more. Today is just like yesterday, we will still fight, Zhang Xingyun said, and there were a lot of food in front of the elves. After eating, they walked out of the underground, chose a direction and walked over, and began the revenge of the day. The early bird catches the worm. The early bee drills encountered Zhang Xingyun and shot several poisonous needles at him. So the battle started. This tribe, which only had 2 elite combat forces, only sent 4 small ones to fight, and the giant claw mantis and others were on the side. Shakiras and Kamestotl were the main forces, and Charmeleon and Baby Dragon rushed out from the side. After a rumbling for a while, this tribe was also taken down. Zhang Xingyun released his mental power, and spent some time to collect some precious things and some materials. Very powerful, keep up the good work. Shaki Aoao Kami, after praising the 4 little ones for a few words, he continued to look for the next revenge target in the dense forest. At the same time, in a dark cave in the secret realm of Kingshu Town, a scream of squeaking was heard. Papa, bat-like elves fell to the ground, some were dead, and some were still screaming in pain. They were elves like the crossbit. Bang, a black shadow was fighting with a crossbit. Hiss, a dark ghost claw was swung, and the crossbit dodged it, but it was still rubbed by the dark ghost claw. Blood squeaked out. Lucario, you also come on. Wave missile. Genji UI Shadow Ball. 6 shadow balls condensed in front of Jenga, and flung them away. A blue figure flashed below, and his hands were slightly closed, and a wave missile condensed in his hands. Squeak, the crossbit flapped its wings, and dodged several shadow balls at a very fast speed. With a swish, it was hit by a blue wave missile. Black smoke came out of its body, and it was obviously seriously injured. It fell to the ground, and followed the footsteps of its tribe. A mysterious man wearing a black windbreaker and a Jenga mask approached the crossbit on the ground step by step. Squeaky, I used a lot of connections to know you. Your luck is quite good. You have advanced to the Quasi King, but you still have to die. After saying that, he raised his foot and stepped on the head of the crossbit and crushed it several times. Squeak Hisno, I can still deal with it at this level. After being stepped on by it, the crossbit fluttered and resisted. Jenga was about to move, but was stopped. Hey, a faint blue light came out of the mysterious man's body, covering his whole body. He punched a cannon punch and hit the crossbit's abdomen, and then burst out with all his strength, and all kinds of attacks were called to the crossbit. Squeak's bat was about to resist, but it was seriously injured, and its resistance was limited. Squeak 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 facing the mysterious man's violent attack, his bat's cries became more and more shrill. Jenga and Lucario stood aside, watching their trainer venting his anger. They also knew why their trainer had to go into battle himself. Squeak as the fight went on, Zbat let out a final hiss and was beaten to death. The mysterious man's attack did not stop because Zbat died, and he continued to attack. Puff puff as the fight went on, blood and flesh splattered, and his entire body was beaten to a pulp. After fighting for a while, the mysterious man stopped attacking and gave a few looks to the Pokémon next to him. Swish squeak squeak, Lucario and Jenga started to move, accompanied by screams. After clearing the remaining Pokémons, the place returned to peace. After cleaning up the battlefield casually, he took the two Pokémons and left the scene of the massacre. Tick 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 tick, the fists on the figure were still bleeding as they walked, and the tick 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 sound added a bit of horror and gloom to the environment. The dominant tribe in this area in the past was actually exterminated by a mysterious person today, and the death was extremely miserable, but for a while, no Pokémon came to this place, and the bodies of the crossbits were still lying quietly in the cave. At this moment, Zhang Xingyun led the Pokémons to chase an elite level Dragon King Scorpion. On the way, he encountered the Dragon King Scorpion, and Zhang Xingyun immediately recognized it. It had appeared when he was escaping, but it was stopped by several trainers at that time, and only fired a few poison needles at him. It was just the poison needles that were fired, but they didn't hurt him. Judging from the materials obtained from the military, this Dragon King Scorpion's merit is not small. In the Furlong Street in the video, it killed 4 trainers in a row. Zhang Xingyun remembered the Pokémon that attacked him that day. With the information he had, he knew that this Dragon King Scorpion was the culprit. After encountering it, Zhang Xingyun directly sent out Nidoking, Claws, and Electabuzz. There were also 4 main Pokémon in the sky. Pidgeot. Dragon King Scorpion was also very cautious. When it realized that something was wrong, it immediately gave up hunting the prey in its mouth and turned around and ran. Pidgeot let out a cry, wrapped a layer of energy coat on its body, and rushed straight to Dragon King Scorpion. With a bang, Pidgeot's brave bird collided with Dragon King Scorpion and intercepted it. Hassan Claws also arrived at this time, and several high-speed stars were fired out, followed by a flash of lightning, and rushed to the side of Dragon King Scorpion, and its fist was shining with a faint light, hitting it. Wow, when the giant mantis attacked, it also attacked with its backhand, but the giant mantis dodged it. Swoosh, 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 it fired several more missile needles at the giant mantis, and its claws also emitted a purple light. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.